Hey guys, welcome to the first summer circuit tournament, the on One Nation of Gamers, sponsored by GEICO, and it is going to be a lot of fun here. We got some crazy rules for you guys. We got a bunch of really well-known players going to try their best to uh, make decks out of these crazy rules and do their best against their opponents here. I'm Crip, joined here by Chalky. We're gonna talk you guys through all the craziness that you guys are going to see over the next 2 days in this tournament. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I really enjoy these kind of tournaments. They've kind of been the craze lately, ever since Challenge Stone. But
Yep.
the new formats definitely get you thinking. It's not as kind of mundane as some people think the standard format gets after a while. So should be pretty fun.
Should be pretty fun. There's a lot of things we gotta go over for you guys to really understand what these players will be playing. But do we have like a bracket? Maybe we can introduce some of the players here. We'll see who we can expect to play today and tomorrow. Okay, here we go. So we have Sevis playing versus Trump, Forsen playing versus Ratzma, Dog versus Kibler, and Firebat versus Life Coach. You have a favorite in this, Chucky?
I'm gonna go with Kibler. I mean, he's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of won the first Challenge Stone. I was the one that lost to him. I mean, he's got some experience under his belt. I trust him.
yeah, yeah. Well, they're playing for quite a bit of money. First place is going to take home $2,000. Second place, $1,000, and third and fourth, 500. We're gonna kick it off with Sevis versus Trump, but we got to go over the rules here, and the rules are pretty interesting. They take a little bit of time to really absorb, and there's a lot of like consequences from that the player's going to have to deal with, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting to see into. So the rules, it's stemmed from 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on insurance. That's the Geico slogan there. So what do we come up with? All cards must contain at least two instances of the factors of 15. And this includes mana cost, attack, HP, durability if it's a weapon, or text on a card. For instance, like Violet Teacher spawns 1/1. The 1/1 that it spawns is one instance of the text. And on the card itself, the 3 is a factor, the 5 is a factor. So that's got 3, and each card to qualify needs 2 of these factors of 15 on the card. And the interesting thing about it is that it's not too intuitive. Like when you saw this for the first time, Chalky, like what did anything really come to your mind like instantly?
The first thing that kind of came to my mind was most spells couldn't be played, and then the second thing was kind of shaman spells can be played, mostly because of the
Yeah.
overload text, but also they tend to have the number one in their spells a lot. So
Yeah, they do. They do. Certain classes definitely come out ahead of others. We talked about that a little bit before we got started here, so we'll give you guys our thoughts as the tournament rolls out. But just to go into some of the details to clean this up a little bit, it'll start making sense once we see some of the cards, once we start talking about it a little bit more. But we don't want to. We want to get into the games as soon as possible. So, in addition to these rules, rule number 2 is your deck must also include Nozdormu because we got places to be, and Nozdormu is going to make that happen. And there are penalties if the players who made the decks have cards that are illegal. They'll be replaced in the order of 2 Magma Ragers, 2 Wisps, 2 Grimscale Oracles, 2 Angry Chickens. So basically, the One Nation of Gamers is completely merciless towards its participants. I'd say so at least. It seems like if you make a little bit of a slip up, having a Magma Rager in your deck might be pretty catastrophic.
yeah, not so forgiving of rules. We'll see some. Hopefully, Savit's made his decks right this time. He
It's a
did
lot
not
hard.
have the greatest go of it.
It's a lot harder to do it in this case, in my opinion. The players are actually given only 15 minutes to make 3 decks of 3 different classes, which they would then have to play in conquest format. So, we were talking about how like some classes, maybe shaman, Maybe we'll actually be surprised. Maybe actually Shaman won't even be the strongest one. But some classes seem, really strong and all that. But it is Conquest, so it's going to have to be based on their weakest deck because while you might slaughter your opponent with your first two decks, your third deck might suck and might just completely get rolled, and then you won't actually win your match. So that's kind of an aspect that you have to keep in mind, and it's really hard to keep in mind when you only had 15 minutes to do all of this. Now I made the rules for Challenge Stone, and basically I would like test the challenge on myself and then double the time. That was like the rule of thumb, and it seemed to be pretty good, I hope. But 15 minutes to me just sounds like
Well, it's 15
really
minutes.
difficult.
Could save you 15% or more
Oh,
on
of
car
course.
insurance. Yeah,
Of course.
makes sense.
It makes sense in that way. Yeah. But that intimidates me, and I'm really curious to see how the players really utilize their time here. What do you think? Is 15 minutes like you're in like a frantic like mode to just get something
Uh,
on there?
yeah, so like you have to initially come up with the three decks you're going with, basically. I think with
Hmm.
15 minutes, you have just a lot less room for error. Like, you can't start building a deck and then realize, like, oh, wait, I can't play that card, can't play that card. Okay, this class sucks. You can't really do that
Yeah.
because it costs you a bunch of time. So you kind of have to visualize what's going to be best. I'd say get that done in about 5 minutes, and then you just got to make the decks, like, ASAP. You're probably going to miss out on some pretty good cards. It's just bound to happen to everybody. That was kind of my thought process in the first challenge stone was, yeah, I missed
Hmm.
out on some stuff, but other people did too, probably. So
Hmm. Well, we are going to see Sevis versus Trump here. I feel like maybe Trump, having played a lot more arena and having played a lot more varied decks, probably has just maybe a bit better instincts when it comes to just scrambling and putting something down in terms of cards. So I kind of give him the edge just based on that loose assumption. But we'll see. We'll see. Actually, going back to your prediction, you thought Kibler might be really good. I think Kibler's success was that he knew a few classes extremely well, but I don't know if those classes are really the ones to go for in this tournament.
yeah. So first matchup's gonna be Warlock versus Shaman. We thought the Shaman would be really strong. I think I saw Whirling Zap-O-Matic, which isn't allowed. So I don't know what we'll do about that.
Oh, okay.
But
I didn't see that. I didn't catch that.
yeah. Looks like pretty mid-rangey Zooey deck for Savitz here. Oh, he's got two of them. Oof. Uh, well,
Uh, yeah, that's
oh wow. So this is a hand for Trump with
okay.
two illegal cards. But anyway, we'll just go with the match for now. We'll figure out what we're gonna do about that later. Uh,
Sevis seems really shocked, and he should be, because that shouldn't be happening.
Looks like Savitz, yeah, notices those cards.
From what I can tell, all the cards in Sevis's hand and play are illegal, and one of them is
Right.
very interesting. That's the Hobgoblin. While we were talking about some of the cards that might be really strong, you mentioned one drops in general are really strong. We didn't actually talk about the Hobgoblin. That might actually be a pretty dominant card in this type of game.
Yeah, if you're playing a lot of one drops, you're playing Haunted Craver, you can play Echoing Ooze, I believe. Can you play Echoing Ooze? Maybe not. But
Echoing Ooze, I don't believe so.
yeah, I guess you can't. So, you get a little bit of synergy with it, not an insane amount. It might have been, like we talked about, 15 minutes is pretty limiting time.
Hmm.
So, we are asking the ref to see what's going to happen about this
Yep.
game. But for now, Savitz is just going to concede. So I would expect maybe we'll get like a regame. Maybe it's a default loss for Trump. That'd be unfortunate going from
Well,
double neck
no,
warper top of the world to just
I don't think it should be.
yeah, it probably won't be.
It
So
yeah, yeah. It's a little bit of a tricky situation, so it might take a little bit of time to sort that out. But no worries, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. So,
also just want to mention that the warriors on the overlay should be warlocks. I think pretty sure about that.
oh
So
yeah,
they each have the same lineup, but they have warlock over warrior.
that's right, that's right. Yeah, even though Warrior didn't seem too bad of a pick, on the topic of Warrior, we are not seeing it right now, but you guys are probably pretty familiar with the type of Warrior that involves War Songs, Patrons, Frothings, Whirlwinds, and Stable Ghoul. And all those cards are legal, while you don't have Death Spites and that kind of stuff. Board clears in general are just, very, very difficult to really stick in your deck. We're talking about how Explosive Sheep seems to be the only one that you can really rely
Oh,
on.
there it is. There's the Magma Rangers. Oh my gosh. That's great. Okay. So we're going to see both of them this game. And they're not going to
Are
do
we?
too much. Yeah, you might just want to totem instead.
Yeah. I have a feeling two Whirling Zapmatics would be slightly better this game.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's why they're not allowed in this format. They'd push Shaman over the top.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Shaman gets to keep basically any card with Overload. They get to keep Unbound because it's 3 mana and gets +1/+1. 3 and 1 are factors of 15. And well, you're going to run a lot of Overload cards because you can, because they're good. And some of those include, well, Earth Elemental. And when nobody can play Removal or Silence or Big Game, cards like Earth Elemental tend to be pretty good. The only class that seems to be able to remove them is, well, Shaman. They have Hex
Yeah.
and Fire Elemental and Fire Guard Destroyer.
And Earthshock, and all. Oh,
Yeah,
so we have some errors from both sides. The Wisp was. Wait, I
yeah,
guess
Wisp is fine. It's
he
1/1.
could have put it in his deck for the Hobgoblin. That might be a real card.
Yeah,
Maybe. Maybe. Probably not.
I think it's a real card.
Well, if it. Real card or not, it's going to be pretty fine when you have Hobgoblin in your deck.
Yeah,
So. Wonder
yeah,
why
he needs at least one juggle here. It doesn't really matter if he gets two because he's probably losing his creature to the weapon.
What do you think about trading it into the other one to try and go for the double juggle? You get a higher percent on your first juggle.
Mm.
So that was kind of interesting, but big Harvest Golem.
Yeah, Harvest Golem is legal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 3 mana, 3 toughness, and it spawns a 2/1. So you got 3 instances. Two's the magic number here. It's pretty tricky to remove that Harvest Golem, but do you really need to?
Yeah, you're probably just gonna hit face here. Like, I'm not sure why you would really think about it, but you trade in that Harvest Golem, you're in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
I guess he's considering Lightning Storm is what he's considering.
Yeah, I'm talking about how Lightning Storm is not really. I mean, how classes just don't really have access to their board clears, but Shaman again does with Lightning Storm.
Yep. One of the few classes with a way to remove, this big of a board. Fortunately for Sevis, there is no Lightning Storm in Trump's hand. In fact, there's 2 Magma Ragers. Not quite.
Yeah. The Magma Rager dies to I don't know what you'd call that, a quarter of a Haunted Creeper.
Yeah, the totem is actually just as effective here. Oh, and there it is.
Hobgoblin.
I wonder if he wants to play it this turn though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could Void Terror the Haunted Creeper to get more fun stuff on the board.
Yeah, you
But
get
at the same time,
get to buff an Acolyte next turn, and if you play the Hobgoblin now, it's going to die.
oh no, he's gonna play the Acolyte probably, right? Or do you want to do that
Oh
with
no,
the
no, no,
Hobgoblin?
you don't want to save it. Yeah, so it's Void Terror. Yeah,
No, but Void Terror just dies. I don't like Void Terror. That's what. Yeah, I think Acolyte's okay.
he's gonna eat both.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt him. I feel like Trump might actually win this game.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, Chalman's pretty powerful. He gets to fire Ellie this turn. But, I mean, Hobgoblin's pretty good here.
yeah, Hobgoblin is pretty good.
It's going to be a 6/7 for 3. If we don't count the fact that you're playing Wisp in your deck.
He's gonna draw some cards. Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna be pretty damn good for sure, but it's just the individual card quality in a shaman deck is so much higher. It really doesn't even matter that you have two magma ragers in your opening hand, I think. Like I
Eh,
think
I think Savitz is fine here.
yeah.
Because what's going to happen is he's going to make the big Acolyte and the Hobgoblin. Well, I guess Trump can clear off the Acolyte and then Rockbiter off the Hobgoblin. So
Yep.
it's not terrible for either player. Still a pretty close game. Can't really tell who's going to win. I would say the Shaman deck has higher quality of draws, unless like a second Hobgoblin comes off.
Oh, Defender of Argus. That's one of those powerful cards.
Yep. There are very few 4-drops that you can play in this format. Shredder, Yeti, both banned. So you kind of have to pick something different. And Argus is one of those things that, especially in a zoo deck, is still really powerful.
Or play Shaman. Fire Guard Destroyer.
Or play Shaman, yeah.
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 Okay. We got the Rockbiter for the Hobgoblin. We got the Fire Elemental for the Acolyte, as you mentioned. Okay. I think you just play everything but a second Magma Rager here. And you just hope your next draw is good.
Yeah. But, I mean, Savitz's hand's really good, too. Oh, wow. Healing Totem's pretty nice here.
Mm-hmm.
Plays around Defender of Argus. Ooh. So Mortal Coil is one of the few spells Warlock actually can still play.
Yeah, we were talking about that, how most classes just have no spells. I thought Warlock was that, but yeah, Mortal Coil is legal. Demon Heart is legal, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
well, like Demon Heart is okay, I think. I'm not
Yeah.
sure it's in this deck, but if you like Demon Heart up your guy and trade into their huge guy, there's not many spells in the format to punish you. Like if they have a
Right.
Fel Reaver out and you buff your guy to like a 9/9 and then trade it in and make it a 9/1, like there's not many incidental 1 damage spells in this format that can punish you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still pretty good stuff.
Wow, Magma Rager gets value.
Yeah, man. Well, now if you're Savitz.
Oh, that draw.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that draw.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you're Savitz, I think you just win now. So.
Yeah, he's just playing the Wisp too, I think. Just forget it. Like, it's so hard to lose from that turn.
Yeah. Shaman runs out of stuff. Life Tap came in pretty big this game. So. Even with the Storm.
I think you have to save the Storm.
You'd save it here and just go for
I'd go for the taunt.
the huge roll next turn.
It's just you can't really win.
Yeah.
Like, if you use it here, you can't win, so...
True.
And there goes Lotheb. So you're still not dead. Oh, yeah, you're dead.
Yeah, he's dead because he can't kill off the Lotheb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there he goes. Magma Rager. Not so good. Unfortunately for Trump, those mistakes really, really punished him, as they probably would all the other players.
And he still has to win with that deck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be rough waters ahead.
We'll see, we'll see. Sevis also has Shaman, which is really good. He also has Paladin. Paladin is pretty good. You were mentioning how Muster Quartermaster is available. Aldor Peacekeeper is available, but also Humility. And Humility might seem like something you wouldn't want to put in your deck, but I think it's okay. I mean, it depends on which way you go. You want it to go like more aggressive if you pick Paladin. I thought it'd go a bit more control. Yeah. Cards like Tyrion, I feel, are pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing Paladin really lacks in this format is their 4-drop slot and Shielded Minibot. Those are the kind of things you're missing. Mm-hmm. But you can still play Defender of Argus, which goes quite well with Muster for battle if you can lock down the early game. You can still play Juggler Muster. You can still play Quartermaster. Almost all the 5-drops are still legal. Play Double Coghammer. And you can also play Tyrion, because Ashbringer is a 5/3 weapon, and it's mentioned in the card text.
Yep. So we'll have to see how these swing. I feel though that in general players would most likely be playing aggressive decks because they're just easier to build.
And there's our first Nosdormu sighting.
And there's Bolvar. Bolvar was actually one of those huge swing cards um, in the opening Challenge Stone tournament. Actually, that Kibler did very well with. So that should be pretty interesting. MC
Yeah,
Tech, that's another powerful anti-zoo card. When you don't really have board clears, sometimes that's good enough.
yeah. Not only is one of the interesting things about these kind of formats is you don't just want to think about your deck, you want to think about other players' decks and like what they're building, what they're not allowed to use, what they can use. And so one of the things that he identified was a lot of people would be playing similar strategies where you build a big board and without consecration or any like area clears to help that out, you kind of have to put in something like mind control tech.
Hmm Sevis gets the bottom end of that 50-50 to kill the creature for free. He has to drop his abusive sergeant, unfortunately.
Yeah. But here it comes.
Take the juggler. If he
Yeah,
takes the juggler because the battle cry triggers first, he gets the juggle for the MC Tech.
yeah, that would have been pretty nuts. But there's that Defender of Argus I was talking about. Probably one of the only 4 drops that you'd want in your Paladin deck. Maybe Sinjin Shieldmaster.
Yeah, we've seen both of those in Savis's zoo deck already. No point to play around Consecrate because players
Yeah,
can't use it.
I think one of the most interesting things about this format is that since there's so little spells, you basically can just go face all the time.
Hmm
There's very few things that can punish you. I guess he was playing around maybe a Defender of Argus. Other than that, nothing really, no real benefit to keeping a minion on board for Trump.
Is Azure Drake legal?
Oh, Coghammer. Coghammer would have been really good there.
Yeah,
Azure Drake is not legal, I guess. I would think.
because it's. I think.
No, it has spell power +1.
Oh, spell power
So it
plus
is
one.
legal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. You're right. You're right. It's 5 mana spell power plus one. I was thinking about the card draw. It says a card, not one card, right?
Yeah. Well, there's Bolvar. It's
Not
going to
so
take
good
a
now.
lot to swing this game, though, yeah. We can kind of see Trump chose for more of the slow route with the 2 Acolytes, the heal bot, whereas Sveets might have gone for a faster version of the deck.
Hmm
He's definitely the aggressor in this match. And Dragon Consort, you can accelerate out your non-store move that you are required to play.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yep. There's no big game hunter to punish it. If he top decks that next turn,
Yeah,
critical.
the funniest thing
Um,
is like the thing you least expect on turn 7 is Nozdormu, right?
yeah, you just slam that, hit the end turn button. They weren't expecting it.
Yep.
So yeah, I think what Savitz is playing around here is just like stuff like Coghammer.
hmm
And
Well, on 6 mana you can play a creature and Coghammer, so it's. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I think at this stage of the game, maybe next turn he'll just go all out face.
Yeah, I would have liked him to go face because he actually has 14 damage right now.
Hmm
So if he went face with that 2 damage, he could set up lethal. But he is 1 off as it stands. Oh, now he's 3 off. 4 off. Pretty good juggles.
Yeah, that was quite
Oh, he
exceptional.
forgot to attack.
Did he?
Oh, there's a taunt up. Okay.
Yeah,
Rank 25 casters.
yeah. Now I don't think there's any way. No, not even like last turn. If his creatures didn't die to juggles, he still had a chance to lethal with his own juggles.
Yeah.
But now there's no chance because he lost quite a bit of board to the juggles of Trump.
Yeah, but luckily, I mean, there's not much comeback potential
Hmm
in the Paladin mirror. There's no consecration. There's no equality.
Oh, there's quartermaster though, and if you don't clear those dudes,
His juggles took care of that for him.
yeah,
They didn't want him to screw up.
yeah. Now there's really no comeback.
Yeah, I think if you're Savitsu, you basically look at this and you think, if I have 5 on board versus nothing, how do I lose? Like, okay, he
Right.
mind control techs 1 of them.
Hmm
You still win. So it's going to be a quick 2-0 lead for
Yeah.
Savitz.
Sevis is cleaning up. Not with Shaman, though. No, that was a Paladin win, I think.
Yeah. So Shaman, which we projected as probably the best deck, maybe it's not the absolute best, but I think it is tied for the most represented class.
Mhm.
There's 5 out of 8 of them, and
Yeah.
it's pretty strong.
You can use like all those really powerful cards, but it still constitutes a fairly slow deck usually. And from what I've seen is that I think at least I have significantly underestimated the aggression in this type of format.
Yeah, it's very facey. Like you take control of board, and there's not any great ways to really bring it back. I mean, Shaman is strong because it actually has a way to bring back the board. You can play spells essentially.
Hmm.
But
All right.
I mean, it's basically just going to be a bunch of small minions fighting for the board and not many things to play around.
Okay. Well, I guess it's just juggle time. Juggle the next turn. Juggle abusive.
Yep. So, I mean, Sevis is basically the weapon. Kind of helps you to fight back for board. One of the few cards that can really generate value in this format, since you can't really have many 2-for-1 cards.
Hmm.
But I mean, Trump's basically just the aggressor here, just trying to hit face. And Sevis didn't draw a mech, which is
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough turn. But does it really matter to save your thing for the Fel Reaver next turn?
No, you should still just make the play. Defender of Argus and trade really greedy.
Yeah.
Again, no spells to really punish you for leaving up a 2-1 with taunt against your opponent's 3-2. There's no silence really in this format. Owl you can't play. Spellbreaker you can't play. So I think the Shaman's gonna come back on board.
Okay. I thought actually he'd suicide his creeper and then Argus the 2/1/1s.
Nah, I like this because I mean now what's the Flame Imp gonna do?
Mm-hmm. I guess it's a little more vulnerable to Mortal Coil again or a juggle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
still
he
that's
needs
fairly
that
low.
juggle.
He needs 2 juggles actually, I believe. I think he needs to play the juggler, abusive nothing, hope it kills the 2/1, and then abusive again and hope it kills a 1/1.
Well, you abusive the 3-2 and then go face for 7.
Yeah.
I think I would have maximized my chances because you put your opponent to 12, you put 4 things on board, and then you have a Doomguard to follow it up. Like you can kind of still win from that spot. Probably not with the Rusty Horn in Savita's hand, but you can't play around that.
Yeah, that Fel Reaver Rusty Horn, but it looks like Trump is playing a lot of early game, so maybe he can get rid of Sevis's deck and just stall out. That is possible. Like, usually the Fel Reaver doesn't have much of an effect in the game, but in some cases, just stalling out and requiring your opponent to clear the board.
Well, I think the main issue is he also has to kill the 8/8 eventually. Like I've seen games where the Fel Reaver gets kind of you draw their whole deck, but you can't kill the 8/8. But he actually can kill the 8/8, just the Mortal Coil draw.
And we'll get to see a lot of the cards in here, which is really good for Trump.
Yeah, maybe he can spot an illegal card and get a regame.
Lightning Storm, Lightning Storm.
Ooh, you know what not to play around now.
Yep.
So he burned 12.
Oh no, Nozdormu!
Rip Nozdormu.
Oh, Earthshock's a great card to draw.
Yeah.
Okay. Trump kind of doing pretty well here. Sevis is doing alright, but he's really running low on steam here.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a pretty big issue here for Trump. I mean, the double Doom Guards not helping him out too much. He just has to go face, but Rusty Horn's going to stop that. Even Hex.
That has to be one of the best things he could have drawn. There's only one left in there.
Yeah. I might have even saved the Hex and just Rusty Horn and made him trade into the Creeper.
What can really be a better hex target? Maybe besides Nosdormu, I guess.
Uh, I don't know. There's probably something.
Hmm.
Fell Reaver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trump even put zombie chows in. Really, really going along with the board control theme, but
Mm.
of course doesn't help much this late in the game.
I like this play. I like trying to go for some juggles.
Yeah, I mean you know there's no AoE from warlocks in this format. They can't run any of their clear cards.
Well, that's a pretty mean board, and I don't believe Warlock has anything that can deal with a board besides Explosive Sheep.
Explosive Sheep, Mortal Coil.
I think he's already used 2
Yeah,
coils.
he already used both. So yeah. And is this lethal? It's one off.
Yeah.
He's one off, so not quite yet.
Well, no, if you suicide a 1/1 in Sylvanas, you can get a spell power totem and then juggle face, and that would be lethal.
So 25% lethal. Okay.
That's not too bad.
Wait. If you double juggled, would it be higher? Probably not. Yeah, it wouldn't be. So, no taunt for Trump. Even with the taunt, a lightning bolt would end it. So 3-0 from Sevis. With the same decks, basically.
Yeah, basically. And really, you gotta feel for Trump a little bit here. I mean, he started off the game with Shaman with like the dream mech start, and he was like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome!"
Easiest tournament of my life.
Yeah, and then the referee probably tells him, yeah, those 2 whirlwind creatures that you just played that are basically gonna win the game next turn. No, Magma Ragers." And then it was a crushing downhill straight from there.
Yep. So we will be going to a break shortly. While we're gone, guys, you can go to geico.onog.gg and enter a raffle for your chance to win an official TSM PC. And we will be back shortly with a winner's interview.
Whoa.
Okay.
I win! All right. Well, we have the boxes mixed up a little bit here, but we do have Sevis. That's the important thing. One thing we don't have is his ability to hear us, but we will circumvent this a little bit. I will type the questions that Chalky will ask him, so I'll be the transcriber here, and we will get some insight on what went down in that series of games against Trump. So what do you got for Sevis, Chalky or Crip?
Oh, hey guys, Farron here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you just won 3-0, pretty easy. How do you feel about the match and just about the format in general? Now we have to have Crip, the transcriber.
Okay, I actually can't hear anything, but reading from the chat. The match was an interesting one. The way that it started with with those double Zapomatics, I instantly just checked my Skype. Is it legal? Like, did I get the rules wrong or did he? And yeah, then we remade the game. It was like the entire set was quite one-sided in the end, but I don't think my decks are as good as I hoped, and I think I'm missing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, did the 15-minute kind of time limit, did that really hurt you? Like, how did you go about using the 15 minutes?
Yeah, the 15-minute time limit was actually really bad for me, especially the Paladin deck. I only had like 2 minutes left when I scrapped that one up, and
Seemed good.
and even on the other decks, because I kept going back to the other decks for more cards, and then like the last deck got a little bit less attention. Like you see some of those dragon thingies, like there might not be enough dragons there, or there might be. And also there's something else missing, I can't say what it is, but it's kind of important stuff. Yeah, but not enough was shown from the deck, so I can't reveal what else is missing.
Okay. Well, I thought your class choices were pretty good. The decks didn't seem too bad, so... how do you feel about your next opponent? It's going to be either Forsen or Ratzma.
How do I feel about my next opponent, Ratzma or Forsen? Yeah, I think I'll do fine. Like I mentioned, at least not just the Paladin, but the Shaman is also missing something kind of important. So I'm feeling a bit shaky, but I think I got the main lines kind of right, and I think that my decks are fairly solid, so my chance should be good. I'll be definitely looking carefully on the next match and just like kind of like scouting my opponents to know what's in there, because I think information is quite valuable in this.
Yeah. Well, great job on your first match, and best of luck in your next. If you have any closing words or shout-outs, other than that, we'll see you in the semifinal.
All right, thanks. Let's hope that I can go far. Well, it was a nice opportunity to get here to replace Eloise, and I'm planning to take advantage of this thing.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay. Well, Sevis, that was a little bit awkward, but I mean, basically we nailed it because he can't hear us at all. So I mean, we made the best of a bad situation.
Oh man, can't wait for the Twitch chat spam about this.
Yep. We're gonna go to a quick break to get reorganized and yeah, get ready for our upcoming match, which I believe it'll be Forsen versus Ratzma. We'll basically find out who Sevis will be facing off against tomorrow. So stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Hey guys, welcome back. I know a lot of you guys, because I mean it's on delay. We have a little bit of a delay here, so we're just now getting some of the comments from you guys. I know you guys are like a bit clueless to what's actually going on. So I thought before we get into our next match here, Forsen versus Ratzma, that we'd maybe go over some of the rules again. So the theme is kind of a play on GEICO's slogan, which is the main sponsor for the tournament, of course, and which is 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on insurance. And we wanted to make some fun rules that play along this, and to make it happen, all cards in each of the 3 decks must contain at least 2 instances of the factors of 15. The factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. And these numbers can appear in mana cost, attack separately from HP. So if you have a 3 for attack and a 5 for toughness, that's good enough. Durability or text of the card. And yeah, there's some interesting things. It's a bit tricky. It's not too intuitive, but it has some pretty interesting consequences. The second rule is that you have to have Nosdormu in your deck, because we got to speed this all up. And there are some pretty interesting penalties, which include the first, Magma Rager, which is why Trump was playing that card in his Shaman deck. So that's the theme that's going on. I guess we can try our best to repeat it and reiterate why these things are happening. But yeah, so far we've seen some pretty good cards. A lot of the things you mentioned came up with Shaman running like the Overload cards, the Earth Shock. Chaka, you mentioned how Senjin and Argus are really powerful cards, and we kept seeing those. Zoo seemed really good. Players basically are not able to have effective not only board clears, but single target removal unless they're playing Shaman. So yeah, it kind of works, which is why players are playing these type of decks, which is why players are playing in this way. And so far it's been pretty entertaining, for me at least.
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated format to explain, but kind of once you get down to thinking about it, it removes. It's very similar to the first Challenge Stone format, which removed silences, removed Big Game Hunter, removed a lot of those cards people don't like playing against. It also removed a lot of spells. So it's a lot more of a proactive game. You're really fighting for the board, and there's not too many insane swing cards for some of the classes. The 3 most represented classes are, I believe, Warlock, Shaman, and Paladin. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, the 4th most represented class is Priest, which Ratzma is bringing to this match.
Yeah, we didn't think it'd be very good, but maybe we missed a few things. We had a little bit of discussion on the format, and one of the things that we missed in our discussion is actually the Hobgoblin that Sevis ended up playing with reasonable success.
There's those Demon Hearts, though, which we kind of talked about would be actually surprisingly good. And Pit Lord even kind of comes out.
That's a good one. We're talking about how 4-drops have a bit of a issue being played, but Pit Lord is a great 4-drop where your life total is much less relevant to your compared to your board state, because your board state can't really be affected.
Yeah. It's definitely much more of a, curve out, play really powerful stuff, and hope to win kind of thing. Looks like Ratzma is going to be going second, and even has Blood Imp in his deck, maybe to go along with those Demon Hearts. And yep. Forsen will be on the top, also with a pretty zooey deck.
Forsen has the idea, right? You play some stuff, and then you point it at your opponent's face.
Yeah. Ratzma, of course, has kind of like the burden of playing around things here, since he's the second player to go, so he has to play around stuff like Juggler, Coil, Abusive. Mm-hmm. Whereas Forsen just gets to hit the face, and looks like he's eating a meal.
Yeah. What do you do here if you're at Ratzma? Do you consider the coining out Senjin play? It's not particularly good, but you kind of need to try to stabilize sometime, or else you're just going to die in a few turns.
Yeah, it seems like his deck's a little more slow with the Blood Imp and the Zombie Chow, and so he really wants to be ahead on board. But like we talked about, it's pretty hard to swing the board back in your favor if you do lose it. And it looks like Forsen is going to be the one controlling the board in these early turns.
Yeah, going first when you're playing zoo versus zoo with no removal cards is basically on who initializes the aggression. And if you go first and you have a one drop, you basically can't be beat in that type of game. Ratzma just has to try to out quality him at this stage.
Yeah, these juggles actually work out pretty well for Forsen as well because he went in with the Imp Gang boss for one juggle first, which then kind of maximized his chances to hit the extra 1/1s that spawn. And now, I mean, he's so far ahead on board. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like this is basically game over.
Yeah. So, few consequences of the format. Seems to be pretty aggressive, much more so than we really anticipated. One of the initial reactions when there's a format like this is, okay, you know, no big game hunter, no silence. I can play these slow, big, fun cards. But it turns out sometimes the 1/1s just carry away the game.
Yeah. The Imp Gang boss is a really good deterrent against these really small, annoying creatures, but it still feels like it's just not good enough.
Yep. So Forsen just gonna kind of look at the board and think, okay, am I still ahead? Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you can. If you get juggles in the Imp Gang boss, it kind of sucks. Is the problem?
Yeah. So I'm a little surprised he would trade in the Imp Gang boss as opposed to just the Clockwork Gnome and play the Void Terror.
Yeah, I really like the Clockwork Gnome because you get the spare part, and you might set up some really annoying stuff. Like if you get a taunt spare part, you suddenly can protect your Knife Juggler.
Yeah. Then again, you literally don't need to play around anything. So just go for it. Why not? Surprised he ate the Flame Imp.
Well, he gets the right juggle. That's really the most important part.
Yeah. And this is going to set up lethal for next turn. And I don't think there's a way for Ratzma to avoid it. He can only leave
Yeah, you
the
can
board.
Doomguard. Yeah, you can Doomguard
No.
into the 6/5, right?
Oh, true. Okay. So, he can live. Very slightly. He can live by what, like 3 health? 2 health, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Depends on where the juggle goes if he decides to kill the Imp Gang boss.
Would you kill the Imp Gang boss? You really only remove 1 damage and you get juggled again. It seems better to kill off a 1/1.
Yeah, might just be better to kill off that. In fact, see, this is what I was thinking is you'd have to go for a greedy play here.
And then you lose.
You couldn't go for the hope he doesn't have Doomguard.
Right.
That's what he had to go for, rather, is... And
Yep.
So he's dead.
Okay. Well, how about that? The very aggressive format, as it turns out, tends to favor the player going first.
Yeah, now, this isn't the end of the world for Ratzma. I mean, I think his decks aren't really aimed to beat Zoo. He has a Priest deck, which I doubt will be very powerful against Zoo. He has a pretty slow Warlock deck, and we still have yet to kind of see what his Shaman deck is, but everyone's is probably going to end up being pretty similar. So, however, Forsen's decks look pretty aggressive.
Why do you mention that his Warlock deck seems slow? Is it just the Demon Hearts? That's the only slow card we saw.
Double Demon Hearts, Zombie Chow, I guess, isn't that slow. Blood Imp's pretty slow. Doesn't really do anything to the board immediately. You have to be ahead in the first place for it to really help. So.
All right. Well, Forsen running basically cookie cutter stuff. Looking good. Crackle, legal, of course. Power Mace, legal.
Yeah.
Nosdormu has to be legal.
Nosdormu is extremely legal.
Yeah.
But he didn't draw any playable minions early, so not in the best of shape. These Imp King bosses might get a lot of work done.
Oh no, he's just fine now.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind. That's going to be a 5/6 spider tank.
Yeah, and then you can follow that up with the other Power Mace and Rock Biter to deal with basically any 4-drop to try to counter it.
Yeah, if Ratzma had like one more turn, then maybe that Demon Heart would put in a lot of work, but unfortunately he doesn't really have a way to counter this spider tank.
Mm-hmm.
Not much counterplay to just kind of big stuff in this format. Shattered Sun Cleric's pretty much like one off doing anything. Doesn't buff it out of range. Not sure.
Forsen's eating some spaghetti.
It's round 2.
Yeah. All
Gotta
right.
stay hydrated.
Wow, Alakir, 3 and 5. That's right.
This is a lot of damage in his hand. I think he'll kill off the zombie chow, but
Yeah, I think so. Just go
I
face.
think the 5/6 is heading towards the face.
That's been in line with how he's been playing, so seems right. Yep,
Yep.
face is the place.
Everybody has faces.
Yeah. So what do you do here if you're Ratzma? Like, you can start building a board, but then you got to
Yeah.
think about that lightning storm at the back of your mind.
Lightning Storm's not terrible, but I think he's going to respect taking 10, which, looking at Forsen's hand, is what he should do.
Yeah.
So this is going to play around the fact that Forsen has like 11 to 14 points of damage in his hand, but it might still not be enough. I mean, Forsen's still going to be ahead on board thanks to the double power mace draw,
Mhm.
with mechs coming kind of like right on time.
Those spells don't seem too useful right now, but he just has so much damage they just become useful when you just have enough.
Yeah, the other thing is he can actually just kind of play for board and just win off the fact he has an Alakir and a Nozdormu.
Yeah.
Those are pretty powerful cards.
Yeah, and Ratzma keeps having a trade in the board.
Yep. So maybe you just trade back with your big Tinkertown.
Okay. I think I like the Totem and Rockbiter to kill the 2/3.
Yep, me too. And you probably want to trade into the 3/2.
Yeah, your 4/4 can push for damage next turn. Man, that 4/4 is a pretty interesting spot there.
Yeah.
Is that legal? Can you be there?
I believe that happens when you play it so fast off the
Okay.
top of your deck. Like you grab it off the top and you just slam it on the table.
Mhm.
That's how excited Forsen was for that draw.
That was a really, really good draw. Yeah, and most of the theme is that even if you don't have very good like zoo early game class cards, on one end you mentioned how you can just stick in like 10 1-drops and be fine. On the other end, it seems like you can just play most of the generally pretty good mechs to survive in the early game. And that favors Shaman a bit, again, because you have that power mace.
Yeah. And I mean, you're just going to use spells for removal here. Clean up the board and keep hitting face. And with this hand, I can't really see a way this goes wrong.
All right. Well, he gave up the turn 8 Alakir by playing the Lava Burst, but it absolutely seemed like the best option for it there. He is going to have a Nozdormu coming in. And one thing that players may not know is the Nozdormu graphical effect does actually stack.
Oh, baby.
It gets pretty
So-
hard to see stuff after a few have been played.
Could we get into like a stalemate where the Warlock just loses on fatigue? Well, no. We're not going to. We are
No.
one turn short of Nozdormu.
Rip. And Forsen takes another game over Ratzma. Forsen's up 2 points. And I think this match might be over before Forsen finishes his breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter, I have to think is going to do pretty well against the classes Ratzma has.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, it's pretty good against Warlock. Their hero power doesn't really line up that great. Priest, again, doesn't have access to a lot of the spells that they traditionally use. And even with those spells, they're not considered a great class. So it's going to be tough if the Hunter gets off to a good start. Shaman, I think, could beat Hunter, just because Shaman's so powerful in this format. But
No, you're absolutely right. But It just feels like one thing I keep in mind is, the players only had 15 minutes to make these decks. Again, they have to have every card in the deck has to have two instances of factors of 15. So, like Unleash the Hounds, a 1/1, that's one instance, and then 3 mana cost is another instance. And it's really hard to make 3 unique decks that will have to compete in Conquest format with those rules in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I think the players who just chose to forget it, man. I don't know much strategy. I'm just going to play aggressive stuff. I think in that situation, they're going to do really, really well. And I think Forsen is playing exactly that type of game right now.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the strategy I had in mind is if you're pretty unfamiliar with things, and your opponents are too, if you just stack your deck with a bunch of 1-drops, you're probably going to do okay. So that seems to be the strategy here for Forsen. 3 very aggressive decks, and could work out really well for him.
Well, Ratzma is keeping up with the aggression in this game. Kind of.
Yeah, he's in a decent spot, and I mean, coining out like Sinjin here won't be too bad. It should kind of stimulate the aggression from Forsen. The bow will help, but
I like the Harvest Golem a lot more than to play the 2 and the 1-drop because it gives you the option to play the bow and the 1-drop next turn, as well as the 2-drop and hero power if you draw nothing over the course the next 2 turns on 4.
yeah, definitely. And I also kind of like this from Ratzma to just hold back on using the coin quite yet.
Wow. Faces the place?
Could be. These are some pretty nice trades, but 2 damage adds up. He can kill off a 2/1 for free. You're really only playing around Defender of Argus, but that is quite an important card to play around in this format. So he's going to choose to do that. I think that's fine. If your opponent taunts up a Harvest Golem and a Haunted Creeper, you're not happy. You can't play silences in this format, so...
Right. Alright, and that's going to get kill commanded here.
Yep.
Oh no, he's looking at the bow. I like the kill command.
Yeah, I think he'll go with the kill command. Yeah, I mean, if Ratzma can pick up some more taunt here, he could be able to stabilize. I mean, it's not like the Hunter deck can run all of the burn they want to. You can't play Wolf, or you can't play Arcane Golem.
You can play Wolf Rider though.
Yeah, you can play Wolf Rider. No Glaive Zuka and no Quick Shot, so they're a little lower on burn than they'd like to be.
It just feels like Forsen's just really ahead on the life battle, and if he's playing Hunter against Warlock, and we know Ratzma's playing Pit Lords and stuff, I think you're just going to have just enough damage throughout the course of the game to win as the Hunter.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead draws in Ratzma's deck. He does play Jiraxis, though, we saw last match, so with the coin, maybe a way to stabilize this match. I
don't
like
think there's much else,
Forsen.
though.
I like Forsen holding back on the Unleash here, though.
Oh, no Stormu. That should do about nothing.
Yeah, now it's like at the point where, well, all the cards in your hand suck, and there's the taunt, though, that he needed. So, really critical life tap there.
Oh, wow.
So you can play out his hand.
Things just keep getting better for Forsen.
Yeah. I don't even know if you trade into the 5/1. Like, yeah, it's
you
going to
like
hit
that 1
you for
damage?
5. Yeah, I like that 1 damage.
All
I
right.
mean, you probably do math on if it's going to matter. I would definitely trade in the Haunted Creeper somehow, because there's really no way to punish that.
Well, he can do that. He can trade the Haunted Creeper and the 2/1 into the Senjin and just have a bunch of 1 health minions left.
Yeah.
Okay, this is maybe a bit more efficient here.
Yeah, he misses out on 1 damage.
Oh,
Or no, he doesn't. Okay.
He does go for a safer play.
Yeah. This is probably going to set up lethal. I mean, he has to retain 4 on board, so now Ratzma's forced to coin out a Demon Heart, and then how do you win? You don't have to. I guess maybe you just use one Demon Heart. You don't play the Shattered Sun, and you hope to top deck your Axis next turn.
Yeah, that's the only thing. You have to save your coin and hope you top deck your Axis. That's the absolute only chance you have this game if you're Ratzma.
Yeah, you have to Demon Heart that 2-1. Maybe he plays something like Anti-Killbot, and he has some other ways to win, but...
Well, even Anti-Killbot, even Jiraxis, you're just so far behind on the board that even if you get that life boost, you're still probably on another 2-turn clock that you can't overcome.
Yep.
And we have to keep in mind, like, Ratzma's played 2 Senjins this game. That's like his taunts.
Yeah, I mean, Defender of Argus would have been really critical, but...
Oh, that's a really bad draw from Forsen.
Yeah, he misses, so... Yeah, Ratzma's going to have one more draw to do it. I think trading here would be acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have seen Harrison Jones so far in the tournament, but I don't know if it's that great of an option because there's not many legal weapons.
All right, somehow you got to hope Forsen went AFK to get another plate of dinner, pass the turn, and rope him. I think that was the play there.
Ratzma just concedes. All right, well, another sweep in which it seems like the player to draft more aggressive decks overall kind of does the stomping. This time it's Forsen's turn to put some points on the board. So we have Sevis' opponent. Sevis will be playing against Forsen. I believe we'll actually have that today. We were supposed to introduce all of the players today, but I believe it's Life Coach who could not play today. We will be skipping his initial match against, what is it here? Firebat, that's right. So instead, we wanted to have 4 matches for you guys. I believe we will have, Sevis versus Forsen to make up for that. Anyway, guys, we will take a little bit of a break. We'll get Forsen on here, and he can talk about how awesome it is to play aggressive zoo decks and win tournaments. And in the meantime, just want to thank GEICO for sponsoring the tournament. And if you guys want to check out the raffle, you guys can go to geico.onog.gg. All right, that's it for now. We'll be back in a few minutes. Hey guys, welcome back. Looks like I'm the winner again. Crip wins. Crip always wins, guys.
Yeah.
But we do have Forsen here. Congratulations for completely crushing Ratzma in his tournament debut.
Thank
You
you.
have completely ruined his life, I believe. So how do you feel?
I mean, I feel pretty good. I guess. I mean, put them back where they belong. Those arena freaks, right? What?
Oh man.
Double shots. Just kidding. It was like I think I don't know the rest of his decks. I assume he had Shaman as well. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know his last deck, but if he beat me with his Zoo, maybe he could have won. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think all my decks are pretty solid. I don't know.
Did you have
Yeah.
much strategy, or were you like in kind of like a panic? Because we know 15
No, I
minutes
was
a-
super panicked because I was
Yeah.
super hungover, so my brain was working very, very slowly. Afterwards, I realized like, oh, I could have picked like Hobgoblin, or I could have picked like there's a lot of cards that are really good actually. Now that you think a bit more about it, but no time, so I guess
well-
I just went with this.
The truth is that everybody struggled with that, from my understanding so far. So I don't think you were alone. And so far, what we've seen is the aggressive decks have kind of taken off. The more aggressive lineup has won so far quite decisively, and you certainly had that. Was
Yeah,
that
I mean,
part of the strategy?
there's no ball clear almost. Like Shaman has Lightning Storm, and I don't know if there's any other class. Not
Explosive
sure.
Sheep.
Explosive Sheep, yeah, sure. But that was my mindset going into it. Like with little removal, then aggro becomes stronger. So I guess triple aggro. Let's go.
Triple aggro, let's go. That sums it up pretty well. Yeah. You're going to have to play against Sevis here shortly. Did you get to see him play? What do you think about the field? Are you feeling good? Are you going to take this down with your hungover decks?
I didn't get to see him play. I was listening a bit when I was in the kitchen making food. He threw out Trump, so I guess we have a 3-over versus a 3-over. So it's gonna be some good games at least.
All right.
I'm not really afraid of Savitz though. No, he has the better decks for sure. I think.
Uh,
I don't know. That's what I think. The
okay.
Paladin is a good choice actually. I never played Paladin, so that's why I didn't bring it.
How was
Well-
the food?
It was pretty good. I was pretty hungry. I have only eaten like one sandwich today, so yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. Well, we're told the semifinals is next, so I hope you're pumped up and ready to play against Sevis.
Yeah.
No Paladin. I don't think is going to hurt you too much. I think Hunter is a pretty strong class, and I think you even proved it in that final game.
Yeah, I think
So,
so. Too.
good luck to it.
Thank you, man.
All right, guys. We'll be back in just a moment while the players and we set up for our first semifinal, first and only semifinal of the day. Hey guys, we are back. We are going to get into our first semifinal here in just a moment. It's going to be between the two players who we saw sweep their opponents so far in the tournament, Sevis versus Forsen. How you feeling, Chake? I know Forsen probably seemed more confident of the two, but confidence certainly does not correlate with results when it comes to Hearthstone.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like Paladin a little more than Hunter, but it's not like those two decks are going to have to go head to head. It is Conquest, so they could get a win off another deck. Could come down to a mirror match or something of the other classes. I think either player has a reasonable shot. I would slightly favor Sevis probably. I think I like Paladin.
Hmm. I like the fact that Sevis is running a Hobgoblin in Warlock, which tells me that he maybe had a bit more thought process towards the decks, and maybe we just didn't see it in his other two decks. I also agree that Paladin seems to be the slightly stronger class overall, but I feel if the Paladin is matched up against the Hunter, the Paladin's probably going to lose because Unleash and the face damage is pretty strong.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, kind of depends on how much taunt Savit's put in. You can play Sledge Belcher. We haven't really seen that card yet. Still legal. Still pretty powerful. There's Sinjin, Defender of Argus, Coghammers, Tyrion. Lots of taunt you can put in. It really just depends how much you do put in. Savit said he forgot a few choice cards that he would have liked to put in.
Hmm.
So his decks might be a little weaker than we're expecting. Didn't affect him last match, though, so...
What do you think about Sludge Belcher? Honestly, like playing Arena so much as I have, and this is pretty close to that, by the way. Sludge Belcher isn't actually that great of a card. Often it's actually worse than Fen Creeper. So,
Ooh. Well, in Constructed, generally, it's powerful enough that
right.
in an aggressive deck, you need two Iron
Absolutely.
Owls. So
Absolutely.
it's a pretty powerful card with counterplay in Constructed, and in this, the counterplay kind of got removed. So I would like to see a little more of it. I'm not sure it'd be the greatest card, because sometimes if you're just behind on board against these zoo decks, it doesn't end up tanking that much damage.
Hmm. Yeah, it seems that taunts in general have been pretty good. Yeah, seems
Yeah,
good. You're right. I'm pretty surprised to see it not
One
come
of the
out.
main issues with the taunt is you're basically the reactive player, and your opponent gets the choice of using Mortal Coil, Abusive, whatever buffs they have to kind of break through it. So you really want to be the proactive player in this format, is what we've seen.
I feel like Sludge Belcher is also proactive. If you have a lot of small minions and your opponent plays like a minion that you can't or don't want to trade into, the Sludge Belcher just gives you usually 2 turns of face damage.
Yeah. Now, there is a Magma Rager in Forsen's hand, kind of going back to what we were talking about. If you do screw up on the rules, you get a Magma Rager. That's the first penalty card you get.
Mhm.
So that is why there's a Magma Rager in Forsen's hand. Probably not going to be very good against the deck flooding your board with 1/1s.
No. What do you think here about the muster? The muster actually seems a bit better because next turn you can do Blackman Technician and then the abusive. He goes to Blackman Technician. I guess it's a faster removal threat for the Imp Gang boss.
Yeah, it's basically the question of which one do you want to attack with first, the weapon and 3/1/1s or a 3/5. And I think I agree with you, because like kind of looking at how it panned out, you would much rather have the well, it pans out pretty well either way with this abusive sergeant, but
Hmm.
you'd probably rather have had attacking priority with these 1/1s. That way you would just get to clean up probably the entire board rather than just a little bit of it.
Okay, well, he still gets most of it here. Sevis is certainly a dominant position where he has a pretty good 5-drop on turn 5. He has the lead on the board, and he has a Peacekeeper if things go horribly wrong.
Yeah, the Peacekeeper is one of the best cards in the format if you can get ahead, because it basically neutralizes all of the... there's not many swing cards to begin with, and if your opponent does have one, like maybe a Fell Reaver on turn 5, rather than killing it, you can just ignore it and Eldor Peacekeeper it. You know it can't be silenced. Almost every silence, besides Earthshock, is not allowed to be played. So it's going to be pretty rough coming back here for Forsen.
Yeah, as is always the case if you have the fewer number of creatures from what we've seen so far. Actually, I think there is no comeback. I think there's just no way that you can come back from this board.
Yeah, Paladin has just looked really strong because Muster for Battle is just insane at locking down the board. And from what we've seen, once you lock down the board, it's pretty much game over.
But what if Forsen gets to drop 10 attack points next turn on turn 6 through
That-
2 Magma Ragers?
Now, how many health points is he dropping, Crip?
Couple.
A couple.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's probably gonna do it.
Yeah.
You probably don't show the Magma Rangers. Okay, he's gonna show. Okay, Sevis has a little bit of a laugh.
Yep. Sevis knows. He knows what it feels like to be in Forsen's shoes. His
Yeah.
firsthand experience. But it's certainly better to be on the other side of the board as he is in this situation.
I mean, Sevis has he's drawn out both Magma Rangers in all of the matches that his opponent has had it. When Trump had to replace those Whirling Zaphmatics, they popped right back up. So
One interesting aspect of the tournament that I actually didn't even know until now is that the players can see each other's cameras as they play.
oh,
Maybe that's
I didn't
that's
know
why
that
they're
either.
yeah, maybe they're a bit more encouraged to be more animated and stuff, and adds an extra dynamic to it. I think that's really fun. I think that's something that it's an aspect of a live tournament that's kind of cool. That's really not that difficult to implement. So it's cool that they went that extra effort this time.
Yeah, I mean, in live tournaments, I definitely like seeing my opponent, staring him down. This is a bit more of a fun tournament, so maybe
Yeah.
not as intense, but still kind of fun to see your opponent.
All right. Well, Sevis gets that first match point. Sevis is playing Shaman against Forsen playing Shaman. Looks like Forsen has the lead. Will it last, though? Looks like it will. Or not.
Well, Lightning Storm is, if you ask anybody, pretty much the Shaman versus Shaman card, regardless of format. So,
It's
could
been
help. Still
Yeah.
behind, though.
it's been so long since we've actually seen like a control shaman versus control shaman. But from what I remember back from like early 2014 was that the shaman who like used up Lightning Storm last was
Yeah.
usually ahead.
You
So-
want to be as greedy as possible, usually. Now, this is a little different because cards like Fel Reaver will kill you pretty quick. These decks are playing a lot of burn spells, but generally, if you're not afraid of death, you want to hold on to it and bait out as many minions as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, 2 Fire Elementals and a Fel Reaver next turn with Stealth and Taunt.
Yeah, I think the Fel Reaver is going to be the big story here. I'd
Yeah.
probably Cloakfield something. Not sure which one, though.
Still really, really behind, but you have to play that Reaver. You just have to go for the tempo.
Oof. Yeah, it's gonna throw it out. I mean, the Defender of Argus can help a lot in coming back, but
Will we see that? I think we might just see Forsen dropping his own Reaver and maybe even going face.
for sure. Well, I mean, from Savits's perspective, the Defender of Argus is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
You can even put it down on that Fel Reaver and trade it into his Fel Reaver. Going back to, again, there's not many 1 damage cards. I mean, there's Fire Elemental since they are Shamans.
Yeah.
Shaman kind of gets to bypass the rule set in this format. They just get to play everything they want.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is that Shaman sucks. So, not bad.
Pretty good in this format, man.
Yeah, pretty good comparatively. But in general, Shaman has been not a very highly picked... Oh, double Rockbiter. Not a very highly picked class.
I think I'd just go face here.
Yep. All right. Well, things are starting to turn around pretty in a pretty rough way here for Sevis. The Argus doesn't really do that much, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you have to play, though. It's basically all you have. Storm
What if-
doesn't do much.
What if you Argus 2 small minions?
Yeah,
and
I like
the
that.
8/8 hits the 4/4 Tinker.
That's pretty much what I was thinking. You're trying to mill your opponent a lot and also develop an annoying board. hope they don't have much. You can also get a little bit of info with each of these discards to see some stuff that you know he won't have. So Sevis is playing pretty slowly, and now he knows there's no lava burst left.
One hex at most.
One hex at most. So you might see him just go face. Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen Earth Shocks, so I think that is why he is not going.
Yeah,
face.
you could get really punished. Basically, just die instantly.
But at the same time, Forsen may have not put in Earth Shock in this deck. It's possible.
Might have just forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a panic. Everyone was in a panic. It's not easy to really make a refined deck in 15 minutes here.
Well, Hex has got to be pretty good here.
It is, but I feel like you kind of have to Lightning Storm this turn as well. Because if you Lightning Storm next turn, you can't Nos Dormu, so you're really praying for cards in the next 2 turns, and that's just a bit hopeful.
Yeah, he really wants to roll a 3 here.
He does.
He did. So he's back on board. And now basically it's on Forsen to kind of draw out some way to kill him.
Wow. Well, he's got it.
Well, he can just stealth his fire elemental.
Yeah.
I think he'll see it. And so, even with the taunt totem, this is lethal. So Sevis needs maybe like another Defender of Argus.
Right. Is
Nope.
Ascension? Oh, that's not it. Would Ascension have been good enough?
Yeah, I
Yep.
think so.
It would have been one life for Sevis, but even though he does get the taunt totem, that is not quite good enough. Forsen does even it up, and we have our first back and forth series. Forsen puts up a point after Sevis gets the first and is tied up at 1-1.
Yeah, so we actually have a series on our hands. That's nice for once.
I didn't mind the stomping. It's just
Stomping's all right. You know, it's like
Yeah.
let's get to the action. Let's get to the players that brought the best decks. I mean, in these tournaments, it is pretty common to have stomps in the first round. Maybe due to decks. It looked like it was mostly kind of just due to either luck or having one weak deck. Like maybe Ratzma's Warlock deck just wasn't quite there, and Forsen just 3-0'd it. But now we're into a match where we know both players have pretty, reasonable decks.
Yeah, and I really like Sevis' inclusion of Hobgoblin in the Warlock here. Maybe
There
we'll
it is.
come out.
There's Sledge Belcher.
Oh, it's true.
And this is a really insane start for Sevis. Basically, the Ardent Squire is going to contest everything. And, really not great for Forsen just hero powering on 2. So he's going to go for the 50-50. I think this would just kind of end the game if it hits, but it looks like it didn't.
Yeah, we saw him look away a second.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, I mean, Forsen's still in it, for sure.
And Mukla, the 5/5 for 3. It's certainly a win more card, and sometimes Hunter's actually pretty hard to be winning on turn 3, but when you're winning, it's pretty good.
Yeah, he can actually remove it thanks to the Mortal Coil. I would have liked to see him buff them individually, though, to play around Bow. One of the only cards Hunter has for removal, so...
Yeah, it's true. Hunter doesn't have the explosive trap as they would normally.
Yep. It's pretty funny. The production actually has kind of like a little secret is thing if there's a secret to be played, but the only one that's legal is Snake Trap.
Yeah, I believe so. So freeze, no way. Explosive, no way. I don't even know what's on misdirect in terms of text, but I doubt it.
No, it doesn't have any numbers.
Yeah.
So any secret would be Snake Trap, and that's not that insane.
Especially because
your opponent knows.
Yeah, not only does your opponent know, but if you're bothering to play a secret and you know your opponent will be incentivized to not attack into creatures.
Ooh.
The face game has been the dominant one so far already.
Top deck Hobgoblin.
Yep.
with basically the perfect cards to play it with.
Yep.
Pretty nuts. That might have been exactly what he needed.
All right. Well, it does stop Forsen's aggression, and Forsen's deck seems really strong. We saw his Hunter deck take a pretty dominant win earlier, but I think it follows in line with most Hunter decks, where it just kind of runs out of steam fairly quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really get too much free damage in on Sevis. Like, you'd really want your opponent to be at about 10 to 15 life by turn 7. But since the double Argent Squire with Mortal Coil really held down the board early, and 2 Sledge Belchers in a row, basically going to make sure that Forsen doesn't get through much damage.
All right. Well, the Hobgoblin is protected, so these will get a chance to play the Haunted Creeper again next turn for that extra little buff.
Yep. Things are not looking good for Forsen.
Okay. He does suicide the Wolf Rider, most likely to play around a juggle or some granular damage, maybe the second Mortal Coil.
Now, interestingly enough, we will see some Nazadormus this match.
Yeah, we'll have to see probably at least the one from Forsen.
I hope we see both.
Oh, so I guess he's playing the taunt here.
Yeah.
Forsen's like, oh my god.
He's going to go face.
Yep. And it's so hard to come back from this board.
Well, if any card's going to help you come back, it's got to be Nazdormu.
What if Forsen gets another failure?
Okay, wait. Just end your turn right now, and maybe the animations will get him. So we're gonna have to see. Sevis has got to go fast. I really want him to get roped. Stormu. Why?
Oh, poor Juggler. Why did the Juggler have to die?
Yeah, the Juggler had to die because time moves quickly.
Okay.
And is he dead to board? Yeah. So he's
Yeah,
got
I believe he is. He just has to do it in time.
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily dead this turn.
Here we go. Oh, is he gonna make the fatal mistake? Oh no, this doubles your rope.
No, it doesn't. It just doubles the animation. There's just more smoke on the screen.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
the animation stacks.
It's just harder to see stuff, is the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sevis gets his second point. Someone had to be up a game after that one. Pretty interesting stuff. I do like the Hunter of Forsen, so while it doesn't take a game there, I'm a bit happy that he gets to play another game with it. And I think he will. Yeah, I mean, he played his Warlock and failed to get a win, and it was the one with the double Magma Rager, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably why he may put that deck off again.
Yeah, maybe just try to even it up before inevitably losing to a double Magma Rager draw. Well, pretty good start for Sevis. These are basically the 3 cards that have been, dominant in securing the board for the Shaman deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sevis is on match point. He's got the Shaman, which, as we keep mentioning, seems to be a pretty good class. But I have to say, it feels like less and less of the strongest class. Like, we haven't seen Unbound Elementals, we haven't seen Earth Elementals. I feel those 2 cards would just be so huge.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting that we haven't seen either of those. We haven't even seen the 4-drop, the Fireguard Destroyer.
Yeah.
So the players mentioned that they missed out on some cards. Maybe those were, along the lines of the cards they missed on.
That's true.
Kind of tunnel vision on the mech shaman theme and leave out some non-mechs.
All right, well, Forsen has a pretty good answer here with the Abusive Sergeant to slay the mech.
Yep.
And it does also kind of nullify the Shaman weapon here. The Shaman weapon is just kind of weak. Still have to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean, the shaman weapon will still do a lot of work. Gets kill off basically 2 minions no matter what. And buff up another 4 or 5 Harvest Yeti.
Mm-hmm.
replacing the 4-drop slot in the mech deck. So it's just going to be a bow pass.
Oh, that's pretty crappy draw there. I guess it gives you something to play on 6, kind of, but
Yeah.
you know you're playing the Fel Reaver here.
I think he could have held on to. Well,
The charge,
he
perhaps?
could have gotten punished by a juggle, but
He would have.
still, I mean, it would have been pretty nice to just have another. I guess he might have planned on playing the Haunted Creeper in the Power Mace, but playing the Fel Reaver is not too bad either.
Mm-hmm. Well, Forsen basically concedes the board here, and that's not. Whoa, South
Or
deckhand.
does he? Haha!
Yeah, I guess.
That's like I said, you just fill your deck with 1-drops. Still though,
That's a 10-drop.
yeah. Well, Sylvanas might help a little bit, maybe. It's got to be what you play, yeah.
Yeah, but I think here we're just going to see. Oh my God. I thought he drew that. I guess he didn't.
No, that was discarded.
Yeah, we're probably just going to see the Argus play, right? Probably Totem and
Yeah.
Argus. I don't even know if it's worth throwing the Juggler out there because that would be a creature to certainly die.
Yeah. You probably don't want a juggler because if you juggler, your opponent can kill off the Haunted Creeper and then
Oh, yeah, that's true.
suicide if a juggle hits the 4/4 Sylvanas or the 5/5 Sylvanas down to 4 health. They can suicide it off the juggler.
No, actually, just the Juggler and then Argus just by itself can trigger the Sylvanas because
Yeah.
you get a Juggle from the Argus.
I mean, maybe he's just thinking, what's the worst that could happen?
I was going to kill it.
Well, he better go face first. I think he's going to be greedy. No way you can be greedy for this 2 damage.
Okay.
So he's gonna. That's interesting.
That seems like it could go really wrong, though.
Wait a second. Can he guaranteed steal that 10/10?
Possibly.
He gets 5 hounds?
Yes.
Yeah, he can guaranteed steal it.
With Kill Command.
Yeah. And the Shaman deck doesn't really play. I mean, they have Burn in their deck, but 7 is a pretty key number. He's going to have to take some face damage, most likely, though.
Oh, no. 7's easy. It's just top deck Crackle, top deck
Top deck
top totem spell damage, and
Yeah,
then
you top-
7.
just top totem them.
Yep. Top deck, top totem. Easy game. Top roll.
So you have to kill command and you have to use your face. Or you don't have to use your face if you kill command. So I think it's really important to save this 7 life because it plays around like Lava Burst.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see if he can top deck and top totem.
It seems, though, that just from the cards that we're seeing discarded from Sevis, that he's playing a much more minion-heavy deck.
Well, no top deck. I wonder if there's any chance Forsen can... Well, he can only burn...
Just destroy the entire deck here.
Yeah, he can only burn 2 at max. Oh, it's really good that he held on to that bow charge to get through a taunt totem. And now he gets to play around spells, kind of. He can still top deck the Crackle and roll the totem.
There's a Rock Biter. There's the Earth Shock. There's a Last Hex.
Yep.
There's double Lightning Bolt.
So we got Lava Burst and Crackles.
Oh.
Well, there's one.
Yeah, that can work.
Yeah, I mean, Forsen's going to take... Well, not too long to kill him with that second Fel Reaver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, next turn is going to be it.
Yep, so this is where the
Sevis has
top
to
deck
draw.
needs to happen.
But we haven't seen those cards discarded. Like, I feel if they're in the
Yeah.
deck, Sevis might even have a guaranteed win here. Nope. Guess not.
Nope, indeed. And that's it. There's no way you can win. So Forsen's going to tie up the series 2-2.
And down goes Sevis. All right. We
Well,
have
that was a fun game.
yeah, we have a close one on our hands here. It's going to end up with Sevis' Shaman trying again. I feel like Sevis' Shaman, while Shaman is a really powerful class, that he's not playing some of the cards that were a really powerful part of the class. So yeah, that deck just seems good, but it doesn't seem
Right.
like broken. And Forsen is playing Warlock again, a good class, but also with some mistakes. So you know, uh, both these decks are kind of limping on in here. They're not really in
Yeah.
their prime.
Well, one of the things is when you have such limited time,
Hmm.
both of these players are basically going back to what they know, which is okay, I'm building a Warlock deck, I'm building a Zoo deck. I'm building a Shaman deck, how about Mech Shaman? So they're just like kind of going with these archetypes that work really well and constructed, but probably aren't 100% optimal in this kind of format. And it's kind of showing now that maybe Mech Shaman wasn't the greatest. You do want some mechs, but like Clockwork Gnome, Cogmaster haven't really been that great compared to just putting in Fireguard Destroyer,
Right.
even Earth Elemental.
Yeah, we haven't seen a single one of those.
Yeah, that card's pretty big. When people are trying to hit face, it hits face really hard, and then your opponent can't hit face.
Hmm. Another card to kind of synergize with those, if you were playing more of a mid-range shaman, is actually the Wind Speaker. The Wind Speaker is just a 4-drop, which is pretty rare to get a good one. And
Yeah,
if you're running Earth Elemental, if you're running Fireguard Destroyer, like this does actually come up quite frequently in Arena when you get like a 6 or 7 roll on your Fireguard Destroyer, you just Wind Fury it into their face and basically guarantee a win.
yeah, and especially when it's similar to Arena, but you get to pick your cards purely in this format, so you know you have burn in your deck. You
Hmm.
know that you're going to be able to burn your opponent out. And so getting that 15 damage or whatever, pretty huge.
Yeah.
Savith barely didn't get their last game, but that's generally the type of game plan he wants to have.
Hmm. A
Uh-oh,
lot of damage output here.
Forsen's walking right into the storm, though.
Yeah. It has to happen.
Yeah.
Or not.
I'd really like to see a storm because of Defender Vargas.
Mm. Okay.
Hmm. I wonder why he went for Spider Tank over Harvest Golem if you're going to do this. I guess... I can't really think what it does better. It does more damage by 1, so there's that.
All right. Well, you have the storm. You even have the bolt if you want to do a little bit more. It looks like you attacked the Argus, so I guess it didn't quite finish that off.
Yeah.
But Forsen has the Doom Guard if he really wants it.
He decides that playing 2 minions is better. He needs a 33%. Looks like he didn't get it. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Still a little awkward here for Speed since he's overloaded.
Yeah. But, I mean, this turn and the next, he's probably going to drop his entire hand, so does he really need much more? The thing is, he doesn't really need to play the Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
I think I would, yeah, maybe Lightning Bolt the Juggler. Develop a bigger board. It's just so hard to punish. The 1 damage basically has to be exclusively Mortal Coil at this stage.
Yep. So, Thorson basically just going to go for it here. Free
like
spare
it.
part was pretty good. Yeah, I like this too. Now, if you're Savitz, I think you check for the juggle first with the Mech Warper.
Yep.
And if you hit it, I think you go for the 50-50 with the Harvest Golem.
It's more than a 50-50 because when you suicide these the 2/1, you can get a spare part. So
Oh, yeah.
you
So,
can get an attack spare part
yeah, so you juggle first.
or freeze.
Okay. I was going to go for the spare part first.
Hmm. Well, it's not a very useful one.
Yeah, so back to the play that's happening. Yeah, now he has to go for the power mace. He could just leave it there. That makes him a little weaker to a few cards, but it does let him develop his board and get some face damage. I
Okay.
mean, the Warlock deck doesn't have too many burn cards. Power Overwhelming can't be played. Soulfire can't be played.
Yeah.
Second Doomguard would obviously do it.
Well, we saw one abusive, so it couldn't have been like a double abusive draw.
Yeah,
In fact, it was a really dangerous draw.
yeah. Leopardome's nice, puts him down to 2, but really, what does 2 out of a Warlock deck? And
Hmm.
I think, yeah, he's just going to hold back on the Flame Imp. Now, do you Hex the Leopardome? No matter what, I think here you want to set up lethal next turn.
Right.
The Power Mace basically represents 8 damage in that situation, as long as you can retain a mech.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, it's 14 from the
Yeah,
existing board plus the 8. That
yeah.
is
So
good
you
enough. Well,
need,
you got to give up 2, so it's 12 plus the 8. That is good enough still. You can hex the leper gnome here.
yeah, yeah. He's got 12. He'd have to give up 5, 7 this turn.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get 5. Yep, you'd still have enough next turn. I just wonder, what does it actually play around? Like, does anything do 2?
Um,
I
I don't
I
know.
guess, I guess ooh. I would have liked to see a totem this turn then to play around second Doomguard.
Mm-hmm.
Or any crazy stuff like Wolf Rider. Oh, it
Oh,
plays
I
around
see a smile. Oh, Forsen takes it. Instant Doomguard number 2 off the top.
Oh man.
All right. Well, Sevis is pretty crushed, but he's definitely been here before, where you're winning, you're winning, you're winning, and then Doomguard into Doomguard.
Second Doomguard.
Yep.
Wow. Doomguards did half of his health that game.
Yeah.
15. Wow. Well, Forsen's actually the first finalist of the event.
Yeah,
We're gonna.
he's advancing to the final. If you want to look at the bracket real quick, we didn't quite get all the players to play today, so we did do the first semifinal, but we will see another opening match here in a moment. We will see Dog versus Kibler, and you mentioned Kibler is a player you're expecting to impress us with some creativity, perhaps.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good match. That'll be up next. In the meantime, if you guys at home are interested in playing, the One Nation of Gamers actually puts on an entire summer circuit, as you can kind of see by the title. They have open tournaments run all the time for North America and Europe. You can participate in those over at liquidheart.com. The next feature tournament is actually just next weekend. And also, you can head over to geico.onog.gg to participate in the raffle for the official TSM And just one more time, we're going to have Crip kind of go over the rules for this tournament before we head into the last match.
I think the rules might be in the title now. I'm not exactly sure. I was watching the stream. But yeah, the rules are in the title if you guys do want to read them for yourself. Why don't we actually go in the rules as we set up for the next match? I think that might be a
Yeah.
little bit more appropriate. But there are some interesting ones. This is like the Chandler Stone type of format where the players have to really push their deck building ability to take down some of these games. We are going to take a little bit of a break before that, though, to set up for the winner interview, which is going to be Forsen Boys, of course. We will have him back for just a few moments. Maybe he can tell us how much fun it was beating up Sevis. And that'll be coming up. And just after that, we'll get into our final game today. Stick with us, guys. All right, guys, welcome back. We have the winner interview again. Forsen,
What's
you're
up?
back, bro. You made it. You made it. The winner interview again. If you make it to the winner interview for the third time, it means you've won the tournament.
Yeah, that seems pretty good to me.
Pretty good. You've secured yourself a spot in the finals, so you've basically already made $1,000.
$1,000. Nice.
How does it feel to get $1,000 from Geico?
That feels pretty good, man.
What are you gonna do with the money?
Oh, so much money. I guess I have to celebrate somehow.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe you can like get drunk on stream or something really unusual.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
How was it against Sevis? You're feeling pretty confident. You were behind the game when you had 1 point and he had two, but you came back and double Doomguard to seal the deal, man.
Yeah. I think that I had one. I really had like at the end of the day, I was thinking like, what do I have to win this? And the only other really other option that I had was getting a leopard gnome and getting a mortal coil
Well, yeah.
to kill it off. So I was pretty happy topping that Doomguard. You know, I wasted a lot of my bad RNG on stream before this, so that I can have only good RNG now. I guess.
That's good. Good
Solid
RNG
stress.
does. I mean, it's kind of a required ingredient to win most of the tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's certainly nice to have.
I don't know. I kind of screwed up when I was building the decks. As you could see, I had two Magma Ragers in one of the decks, and I also panicked because I had like 30 seconds left to submit the hunter list. So I threw in two bomb blubbers for no reason. I was at low tab on the page. I was like, oh shit, I gotta go. Like throw in two bomb blubbers. I don't know if I could have made something better there, but
Seems
yeah.
good.
It's all right. Bomb blubbers are a pretty efficient card
Yeah.
when you're playing high tier decks, so it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I think that worked out. Actually, I mean, again, you keep bringing up how you may have screwed up in the deck building process, but I think it's just impossible to really come up with like a full list that you're really happy with within the given time frame. I think it's kind of
for
the
sure.
theme that you had to really rush. Like 15 minutes is really a short amount of time.
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't even. What is the new shaman card called? The overload for 4 mana minion.
Fire Guard
Fire
Destroyer.
Guard.
Yeah, that is so insane, and I didn't
Haven't
even
seen
put
it
that in
yet.
my shaman.
Yeah, so it's
It's so
Unbound
good.
Elemental,
Yeah,
Earth Elemental.
Earth Elemental, yeah.
yeah, it's so many sick cards, and I just forget to put them in. So I guess.
Yeah, but so did
I-
Sevis. So did probably a lot of other players.
Yeah, I didn't see any of those from him either. So I guess we're equal in that regards, at least.
It actually felt like you beat his shaman deck the first time because his shaman deck had like no direct damage spells, and like because we were watching the discards from the Fell Reaver, and there
Yeah.
were 3 cards left, and I'm like, oh, Forsen has to lose because there's no way there's less than 3 direct damage cards left in the deck, and apparently
exactly.
there were. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of direct damage. I think that's the way to go. I don't play any Arguses or stuff like that. I just went full face build with double lava burst, double air shock, and yeah. But he went more defensive for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's working out. Certainly a close series. It seemed like you're gonna lose that, but never lucky isn't always never, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
luckily for me.
A little bit of
Yeah.
esports there.
A little bit. Well, congratulations again. Good
Thank
luck
you.
in the finals tomorrow. We will take another quick break while we set up for our final game of the day. We're going to see what Dog and Kibler came up with in this challenge as well. So we'll be back in just a second, guys.
Sweet.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're about to get into our final game today. Dog versus Kibler. We see the classes. We see priest from each player. How about that, Chucky?
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of format, people kind of go back to their tendencies. Kibler, I think, even has Golden Priest. I know Dog has been like really loving Priest lately, and yeah, people just kind of tend to go with what they like. Dog didn't even bring Shamans, so maybe having different ideas about the format than we did. Obviously, these Priest players have seen something we really didn't. I saw some cards I liked from Priest, but I didn't really think it had all the tools it needed to keep up with the board against these kind of zooey decks.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very good when you think about it, but we haven't seen it in practice yet, and I think we've both been pretty surprised by some of the things the players have come up with this format. So uh, let's just be optimistic. Maybe some cool stuff can happen. And of course, the format we're talking about is the special format for this particular tournament. It's themed around our sponsor, GEICO. And their slogan is 50 minutes can save you 50% or more on insurance. And the rules for the tournament are: rule number 1, all cards must contain at least 2 instances of the factors of 15. Those numbers include exactly 1, 3, 5, and 15. And these numbers can appear in the mana cost, attack, HP, durability in the case of a weapon, or text of a card. So again, I'll use Violet Teacher as an example again. A Violet Teacher has 3 instances. Its mana cost 4 does not qualify. Its attack 3 is a factor of 15. Its toughness 5 is a factor of 15. That's 2 instances. And the third, just for bonus points, is the fact that it summons a 1/1 when you cast a spell. So all cards have to have at least 2 of these instances to be able to be played. If you have cards that don't meet the requirement, as some players have, the first replacement that is placed into your deck is the Magma Rager, which is why we've seen it in some of the decks up to now. And rule number 2 of the tournament is your deck must also include Nosdormu, because time is ever so precious in everything we do. So that's why these players are playing some interesting decks, some interesting classes, and some interesting combination of cards. And that's why some classes might be a little bit better than others, and we're kind of trashing on Priest a little bit here still.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if it was truly a top tier choice or if it was more of a rushed, like, okay, let's go with Priest.
Yeah, 15 minutes was what the players had to build 3 decks, and we are playing Conquest format, so it is pretty important to distribute your time somewhat evenly across the 3 decks, and in 15 minutes, that is a really tough task. I did come up with this challenge, but when I tried to think about it and try to do it myself, it seemed really, really, really hard. So it's kind of fair, because it feels like an impossible task to do in 15 minutes. But it was the same impossible task given to all the players.
Yep. So we might have a few. We've seen our fair share of Magma Ragers. So kind of imbalanced decks across the board. People just have not optimal stuff, but nobody does. So it's pretty fun.
The main observation that I've seen so far is, again, one that I've said already, is that the more aggressive decks seem to do a little bit better. That's not about the cards that you can play as much as it is about the cards that you can't play, which include removal and board clears. So yeah. Also, as we keep seeing these tournaments roll out, the taunts just seem so significant. So yeah, I think Sludge Belcher is an exceptionally good card. I wonder if there's really any others. Like, actually, Fen Creeper is legal.
Fen Creeper is legal. Yeah, I mean, Defender Vargas, I think, has been the obvious taunter of choice. But yeah, I mean, Fen Creeper, Sinjin, Sludge Belcher, all legal. So lots of things you can play. It's mostly about what your mind kind of jumps to first in the 15 minutes you're allowed. And yeah, I mean, in some of these games, the taunts haven't been insanely great at, keeping yourself safe, because your opponent then gets the initiative to kill the taunt in whatever the way they want and kind of just keep pushing through more damage. And you have no way to really clear the board unless you're a shaman.
Yeah. It feels like they help a little bit, though. They kind of stall out the game, but Usually, if you're in that spot, it's hard to come back. I just feel that maybe if they had a few more taunts or just a few more cards that did, the return play, the comeback mechanics,
Yeah.
that maybe it would work out for them. But yeah, it's been certainly tough for the player who's lost the board to manage to do anything.
Yeah,
But
nobody's really tried going all in on taunts, like play every single taunt and just hope they can't break them all, which could
Mhm.
work because it's not like you can use many spells, so you just
Yeah.
kind of hope eventually they run out of damage.
All right. Well, here we go. We see some taunts from Dog. Looks like a Paladin mirror to kick off the series between Dog and Kibler. Kibler is well known for his Paladin play. It's certainly one of his favorite classes, and I think he is able to think about like how to build these decks conceptually very quickly. So I think his Paladin deck is going to be pretty good. The main concern I have for Kibler is perhaps one of his other decks may not be up to par.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good start for Dog as well. Got the turn one zombie chow. Kibler kind of blanked on turn one. And if you fall too far behind, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, but one drop going first is so much better than one drop going second. So truth is, Kibler's not really that behind.
What do you think of the decision to hold on to that Aldor and the coin versus rushing for board control?
Hmm.
Like he could have coined out Aldor and just completely taken the board, but
Yeah, that's true. Whoa, am I seeing double Kibler? Whoa.
Kibler versus Kibler. Oh man.
All right. Well, that's one of the interesting four drops there. The Hungry Dragon looks like a dragon themed deck. We see the Cog Hammer. This seems like a pretty solid deck. Hungry Dragon is one of those cards that really seemed like it would be really good when Blackrock Mountain was being announced, but really didn't play out to be that way because it's such a tempo loss to actually have to kill whatever it spawns. And the board tempo is kind of the name of the game with this format we have in the GEICO tournament. So I don't know. It seems like a good four drop, and most four drops suck. But is it really good? Good? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the real question is what else can you play? There's Sinjin, there's Argus when you're ahead on board, but it's one of the few big proactive four drops.
Yeah. Well, it does enable the dragon synergies that he obviously has with the Black and Corruptor in hand.
Yeah, I like playing out the Coghammer in anticipation of playing Hungry Dragon this turn. You get to weapon off whatever spawns, and you're kind of ahead on board in a weird way, as long as nothing bad pops out. That's
It's
fine.
a bore.
Well, I guess Dog's ahead on board then.
Yeah, I think he is actually because he has the option of Peacekeep here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, those spectral spiders are not 1/1 dudes, so
Hmm.
not going to get any quartermaster value.
Okay. Dog choosing to go face. Often in arena, I'd go for the kill on the vulnerable creatures, but a 1/6. I mean, it's not like it can be buffed by kings or anything. So
Yeah, there's
guess it's fine.
such little stuff to punish you that it's
Mhm.
almost always correct to just hit them in the face.
All right. Well, we have seen that be a pretty successful line of play for most of the players. Looks like Emperor Tharson is coming down. Another very interesting, very powerful legal card. Um, What do we have here? You kind of want to sacrifice the dragon to play the cog hammer. Oh, that changes things a little bit.
Well, you could Coghammer first. Trade in the 1/5 into the 3/3 Coghammer. Or no, you'd want a Coghammer last. I guess you don't want to waste a Divine Shield.
Well, you can just take the
Yeah,
chance.
now
and
now
lucky.
you get to save your Aldor. Yeah.
All right. Well, that turned out really well.
Yep. Aldor is pretty important in this matchup, I'd say. I mean, your opponent's definitely going to have bigger stuff later on.
Yeah, Paladin's a pretty good class in the early game, pretty good class in the mid game with his format, but also Tyrion's gonna pull in a lot of weight by himself.
Yeah.
Players can't really run silence unless you're shaman. Players can't really run removal unless you're shaman. So just not playing against the shaman, Tyrion's just gonna win the game.
And Kibler has actually done it. He is the first one to reclaim board control. He was behind on board, and
That's
it only
true.
took him 16 health to come back,
Yeah.
which is completely fine in a Paladin mirror. So,
Yeah, especially when your opponent drops down a zombie chow for you.
yeah. Use all the health you want. And he can actually keep this board clear again. So,
I wonder why he's choosing to attack first. I think maybe better just play out some creatures, maybe get that juggle. Are you missing something?
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, trading in a 1-2 before going for a juggle, and then, like, isn't your 5-4 going to go into the 2-5? Maybe? You're going to go face, I guess, if you're playing like this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see. I think he might trade with. Nope.
Double
Face is the
face.
place.
And he is
It's-
going to get pretty punished here with the Muster
Yeah.
Quartermaster.
He's going to get really punished. Wow.
So maybe Dog will be the second player to come back from a losing position on the board.
Yeah, I just don't think Kibler was considering the. What was it? The Thorson reduced the second. It's not only playing around the second quartermaster, it's playing around the second quartermaster that got Thorson. So
Yeah.
with the muster for battle. And yeah, now he's behind.
Pretty devastating.
I think he should attack first. Might not matter too much. In fact, you could maybe play around Harrison a little bit, but
Yeah. Which we have seen. It's just, I
yeah,
don't know. I guess if you think Paladin's really, really good, you'd maybe play Harrison.
yep. That's one of the main things is with cards like that in these formats, you're not thinking about your own deck. You're morely thinking about what other people are going to be playing. And if you think that includes like Shaman, Hunter, Paladin, maybe even Warrior, then Harrison seems like a good inclusion.
Mm-hmm. All right, or Kibler drops his hand. He's ready to play out his Nosdormu on next turn. Dog's got a few mid-game options, including Healbot and Argus, which I think is what he's going to want to play to kind of try to play more on curve. But I'd say no, he doesn't really need the health right now. So
Yeah, I think the only consideration he's making here is, do I want to respect Quartermaster? Like, he's thinking, okay, if I just play completely safe, can I lose? And I guess he decided yes, because he's just going to go face, I think. He might make, yeah, that trade seems fine, but you really do want to apply as much face pressure as possible.
Wow.
And two
Esports.
arms, then.
It looks like Kibler might be the third player to take back the board from a losing situation.
Wow, this is a fun game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now we have to see if Dog can become the fourth player.
All
I mean,
right.
if he drew Nosdormu this turn, he actually would just win.
Yeah.
Nosdormu was the winning card.
All right. Well, Kibler is still in bad shape just because of his very low life total here.
Yep. Ooh, that would have been good for Dog, but
Yeah, it would have. Game winning, actually.
yeah, not quite what you want if you're Kibler right now.
Oh,
you have to Nosdormu, right?
yeah, I think so.
The one
How much-
one doesn't really do anything.
Well, Dog has 5 damage. The 1/1 might prevent another 1 damage. So I think it's actually okay.
Oh,
I think it's actually the right play.
I'm just so sad we're not going to see Nosdormu. Oh, wow, he was playing around Sylvanas, of course. Well, this is going to be really awkward for Kibler to come back from. Yeah, like you said, though, he did trade in a lot more damage.
So Dog is the 4th player to take back board control.
Well, that
have
was
our
a
first-
fun game.
Our first back and forth game of the tournament. The Paladin Mirror from Dog and Kibler ends with Kibler's defeat. Pretty good stuff though. Very very back and forth. Both players played pretty well. The only thing that we criticized a little bit was maybe the juggler from Kibler, but not. I mean, with his strategy, he wanted to go face, so yeah,
Yeah.
it just happened to not work out for him because that second discounted quartermaster, and I mean that is pretty extreme. So overall, I
Yeah.
think they played excellent.
Just about everything that Kibler tried to do kind of blew back in his face. Like he tried to
Yeah.
go face and make it more of a race, and then his opponent went discounted Healbot, discounted Belcher, your turn.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, great. Like I thought this would be a race, but now it's like you have to play for board when your opponent's at 28 with the Sledge Belcher up.
yep. All right, well, Dog gets that first point. It looks like he's moving on to his Hunter deck. And, oh, that's an Akanai. So we're going to see Priest for the first time here. So Akanai
Yeah.
is legal. That's a good 4-drop. Hungry
can
Dragon
use-
seems to have made it.
Yeah, you can use. I actually just thought of this. You can still use Light of the Naru. You can't use Circle of Healing.
Hmm.
That Light of the Naru has a 1 mana cost and it has 3 in its card text, so it is legal.
Okay. Twilight Whelp.
Kibler with his second dragon deck.
Well, that's still pretty good. Like you can Whelp and Zombie Chow on turn 1. That's pretty sick. Like, do you
Looks
want
like
to do that though?
Yeah, he's gonna hold on to the coin to have better plays later.
I feel like you can almost guarantee like a heal next turn.
Yeah.
But okay.
Well, yeah, I think it worked out pretty well that he kept the coin. He gets to probably go Blackwing into Coin Corruptor
Mm-hmm.
to hopefully get the board more. I mean, as the priest here, I feel like if you can get a hold of the board, you probably are going to win. You can still play Shadow or Death in this format, so big stuff is pretty easily dealable with. It's mostly just this mid game that you're a little worried about.
Mhm. Well, it's looking pretty good. Again, I was hoping that I would be pleasantly surprised by how strong Priest might be in this format, and I am. It certainly does not look like a weak deck at all.
Yeah, I might have liked killing off the Creeper to play around Kill Command, which Dog does happen to have, but I mean, Dog doesn't feel great about wasting his entire turn Kill Commanding, but it's all he has, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, they could have jugglered, I guess. Just hope for the best.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, you do have the option to Blacken Corruptor, but it doesn't seem worth it here.
Yeah, it's not. You should hold on to that for when it gets the most value, when you need that 3 damage. But I think the real question is he going to play Azure Drake or just go for the Hungry Dragon?
A Hunger Dragon has to be too risky. It's why the card is really not too good, because you're kind of in a winning situation, except like 10% of the time, or you can just lose the game.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
So-
And this is not that time. So it
Yeah,
works out
I
quite
mean,
well.
the funny thing about Hungry Dragon is when you feel bad about playing it on turn 4 with the minion already on board, like, ugh. How good is the card if you feel bad about that?
Mhm. Well, how about that for aggression? Leroy makes his first appearance in Dogs' Hunter deck. Seems
Yeah,
very
I-
fitting. I like it.
Yep. I mean, when you don't have too much time to think, you're pretty much just throwing in any card that you know is pretty good in a Hunter deck. You're like, well, this is a Hunter card. You know,
Yeah.
throw that in there.
Funny enough, there was some chance you could kill the dragon if it was like juggles all into the dragon and the bow.
Yeah. Ooh. I wonder if you play that death. Yeah, you probably do.
Just because it's not going to hit much.
Well, it's basically before he drew the death. I think the play was probably Blackwing Corruptor, and just trade off. But now you basically get a directly better play, which is death, trade, and heal. You get the same exact kind of board, but you get to hold on to a Corruptor instead of a Death. I think Corruptor is probably just overall better.
Do you think the heal is worth it over the Blackwing Technician?
That's true.
You have good curves with the bananas from here on out anyway.
Yeah, you should probably go for the Technician because if you heal, your board does just die to a 1/1 and a bow.
Mm-hmm.
So that top deck was actually pretty significant.
All right. Well, he gets an abusive to make up for 2 damage he needs, but he doesn't quite have the fitting amount. He can't really.
Yeah, he can't distribute it correctly.
Yeah, he can't distribute it correctly.
So, not the turn he really wanted. But we've talked about how there's no real board clears, and Dog's basically trying to abuse that now by just going face, putting out a taunt. I mean, the taunt's just going to die to a banana. But
yeah, well, it is going to die with a banana, and I think
Yeah.
the Blackwing Corruptor is coming out now on the Abusive Sergeant.
Yep, now's about the time where it's like, okay, let's just play safe. I've got a hold of the board. 19's a pretty healthy life total, so can't really get burned out from here. Unless that shade grows really big. Shade's a pretty interesting inclusion, actually.
Seems to be in line. You want to trigger damage to face.
Yeah,
And if you're losing, it kind of does that. What other stealth cards can you play? Stranglehold Tiger?
that's true. There's really not that many. Jungle Panther, not allowed.
Nope. You can't play the Worgen, and we've seen a lot of players actually do play the Worgen.
Wonder how afraid Kibler is going to be. Not at all. Like, would a Kill Command do it? He doesn't have a Beast out. Would a Bow do it? No. It's quite a ways off. So I definitely like the face attacks from Kibler. Can't be afraid to be the aggressor, even when your opponent's a hunter.
Well, Dog has to start trading here, and
Yep.
I think it's still going to not be enough because of the Akanai.
Well,
He's probably going to cut it too close.
Well, no, he knows there's a banana. So he can't, like, if you look at this board state, you're like, okay, you kill off the 2/3, your opponent's 1 off lethal.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But because of the banana, you actually know that you cannot do that. In fact, this is
Misplay.
a misplay. You are dead 100%.
Yeah.
If I were Kibler, I would use the banana just to make my opponent feel stupid. I wouldn't even show the Akanai.
Okay.
Yeah, dog kind of just like acknowledges.
Yeah.
Like, right, banana.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
Even a bit of a face palm.
I mean, this is kind of what you expect. You expect people to forget the consequences of some of the cards because these are cards that are very seldomly used in the constructed format. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the players are where they are because they just have a lot of training. They put in a lot of time, but they do that with very specific circumstances, which is the opposite of what we're bringing to you guys with this tournament.
Yeah, given like, thousands and thousands of games of playing this format, I'm sure they'd be playing like very optimally, almost perfectly, but this is new to these guys. You don't play every day with Muckla in your hunter deck. So you're not, you're really not just thinking about those bananas when it comes to the late game.
Well, how about this for a card I hadn't thought of? What about the Mad Bomber? That works.
Ooh. That actually seems pretty good with all the 1 health guys kind of floating around.
Yeah.
He is the natural enemy of Worgen Infiltrator.
Yep.
Most of the time.
71%.
Seems like some salty math you've done there, Crip. Seems like a few too many bombs went the wrong way, and you decided to math it out.
No, it's like whenever you draft like that 1/1 drop in arena, you get the Worgen Infiltrator. Like every time you play it, you get bombered.
Yeah.
Just makes no sense. All right, let's go for the juggler here.
Yeah, of course. And it hits.
Gets it.
Why wouldn't it? Well, Kibler actually threw away a lightning storm, so I mean it probably works out fine with the feral spirits. This is gonna be a pretty big juggle.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he's gonna maximize his chances.
I'm not too big of a fan of. I think he's gonna go for it. Yeah, seems good. I'm not too big of a fan of the feral spirits. I feel like sometimes they work, but usually they don't. And when they don't, you just cost yourself the game.
Ooh, perfect juggles.
Yeah, like now you have basically nothing. Oh no, you have plenty of stuff. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, he's fine, Crip. Calm down.
Yeah, he's actually in great shape. If at least if he draws a 4-drop or a 3-drop next turn, he's gonna be fine.
He might just end up hexing. Oh god, you don't want to hex Wolf Rider though.
Oh wait, is that Stranglethorn Tiger just in the deck? Because that's not from Web Spinner. Web Spinner
Uh,
was silenced.
yeah, it's just in the deck.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so hex is fine here. I think it's probably you can't play Savannah High main, so it's about the best thing you get to hex is around a
Mhm.
3-drop. You can't really hex a Stranglethorn Tiger. So the unfortunate part is he doesn't get a great fire elemental, so he's probably just gonna Emperor, which isn't too unfortunate actually, all things considered.
Yep. Emperor comes down, makes a pretty good show here. He's able to Rockbiter, Fire Elemental, and Manatide next turn, and then
Whew.
Monster remove the turn after that.
Yeah, but that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's 11 this turn.
Oh man.
It looks like you'll have to Rockbiter down
The
The
frog.
frog.
Yeah. He can Earthshock it if he wants, but that doesn't sound good.
No.
Yeah, the problem is here he really can't he can't deal with the Worgen and he can't deal with the Creeper, so that's 3 guaranteed. The Wolf Rider is another 3 and here power is 2. That puts you to 2 and that's pretty much game.
Yeah, he might have anti-Keelbot though. He is playing pretty controlled deck, so he had to anticipate maybe playing against some aggressive decks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count him out 100% here. Is what I'm saying.
Man. I'm feeling pretty good if I'm dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, well, he's definitely fishing for at least a taunt.
Hmm.
Oh,
Oh, Leroy boys, game over.
esports.
Yeah, man, these aggressive decks are really successful. In that last game where Kibler took control with the priest deck, that just kind of happens every now and then. But I think more often than not, the aggressor in this format is just going to take away with it.
Well, the interesting thing is Kibler got his priest win out of the way. Dog still has his, and I would say without a doubt, priest is Dog's weakest deck. So
Have we seen it though? I don't think we have.
No, we haven't seen it. I'm just kind of guessing. And before this tournament even started, we thought Shaman and Paladin were really the best decks. And there's a Magma Rager.
Well, the best part about it is you guarantee you can only draw into one.
Yeah, it is. Ooh.
Oh,
The,
looks
the
like
game,
someone ripped.
game crashed because of the Magma Rager. It looks like we're fine, though.
All right. So Kibler's back at playing Dragon Paladin. Very nearly took the game against Dog in the opener, but didn't quite get the full finish here. Again, an excellent hand, though. The running Blackwing Technicians.
Yeah.
So hard to deal with, especially when
Yeah,
there's no
I mean,
Shadow Word Pain.
there's not much to punish creatures in this format. If there was a
Oh my god. The dream.
all right, Magma Ranger did it. Yeah, for
If
all
there
you
was
guys,
ever a doubt.
how did this happen? Wait, why did he trade? Velens?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Velens.
Yeah.
Could have done it.
I always look at Magma Rager. I'm like, what do you even play around by trading? But I guess Magma Rager gets it done here.
Yes, it does.
Oh, there's the Velens.
Yep, but does it accomplish much to play it? I feel like playing Hero Power and a Dark Cultist might be a little bit better.
Yeah, it only puts your minion at 6, which is still exactly dead to
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now Valens was one of the cards that I kind of looked at and thought, okay, that's pretty good in this format. It's a good card
Yeah.
overall, but yeah, I was thinking the worst part here for the priest would be the early game, and surprisingly enough, Magma Rager was the card to carry him through it.
All right, well, he does go with the Velens. I guess he's okay with just trading for the board and starting behind again next turn.
Yeah, just well, it walked right into Blackwing Corruptor,
Yep.
and Blackwing Corruptor lines up really well with Emperor, so things going pretty well. There is a Harrison Jones in Dog's Priest deck though.
Mm-hmm.
Should come big later.
Yeah, the priest deck is certainly not out. It's just priest often relies on like big board clears to kind of reset, and
Yeah.
it has no options for any of those in this format. So it's you kind of have to think of it like everybody's basically playing Druid.
Yep. This is like one big druidless druid battle
Yeah.
because druid cannot play innervate or wild growth. So it's just one big battle for the board. Not many swing cards.
All right. Dog's still playing from behind. Not much of a choice. Ooh, is there an efficient play here?
If you're lucky, there is.
Yeah, that seemed to do it last time.
Well, no, because then you really can't play anything after the cog hammer. So
Yeah, it has a very awkward mana. What if you play the Dragon Consort and just trade off most of your board just to have a good turn next turn?
yeah, the quartermaster on first glance seems good, but then you don't have an efficient way to trade into the dark cultist. So I think I like that. And then you just keep control of your board. You get to push 3 damage, and works out pretty well.
Goes with the Corruptor instead. Have
This
a bigger
just-
board this turn.
Yeah, it's a little more aggressive of a play. Get to push more damage. Put more
Seems just as
on the
good.
table. Yep. It's a little different. Does some things better, some things worse. You still have the option of going Dragon Consort and Azure Drake next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And again, really no way for Priest to clear this board entirely.
We're also getting a bit of an kind of insight on the way Kibler's playing this. He's playing like slow decks, but he's playing them very aggressively.
Yep.
I mean, most of the plays that we disagreed with, that's what he's doing. So I kind of get it now.
Yeah, there's also the fact that when you're building the actual deck, you have 15 minutes. After that, you get all the time in the world to think about how you want to play it, and maybe after considering the format, he thinks, okay, I'm not playing around anything. Like,
Yeah.
screw that.
Exactly.
Like,
All right.
And-
So we have Consort into Consort.
yep, this completely goes along with that line of thinking, and I'll just play my biggest stuff every turn, keep his board clear, and hit face.
Well, he has basically no chance to lose from what I see right now.
This is this lethal?
There's-
Yeah, this is exact lethal.
Okay.
Well, it's a little over with. Oh,
Okay.
miss lethal.
Did he? I didn't quite count it. He
Yeah, he
wasted
had,
8
he had-
damage.
He had 21.
Yeah, you're right. He had 4 over lethal. Or 2 over lethal. 2 over lethal. With the Quartermaster and the cog hammer.
He had 22 on board.
It's all right. I've heard of really, really, really good players missing lethal in the past.
I just
Yeah.
think it was pretty funny. Nosdormu actually caused the miss lethal. He was like, "Well, I'm trading into that ASAP."
Yeah.
So Nosdormu, maybe you put it in your constructed deck. Bamboozle some people. Nah. Oh.
Nah.
Oh.
If you're in the spot where it's like your only legendary, perhaps.
Only.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just going through the motions here, but yeah, it is absolutely over. So Kibler ties it up once again. 2 points on the board apiece, and we are in the final game. This is the round of 8 match. So we had the semifinal earlier between Forsen and Sevis. We are not going to see quite all of our players today. We will have Firebat and Life Coach play tomorrow, and the winner of this match will play the winner of that tomorrow as well. So who's your money on now? We got Shaman versus Priest. We saw some of the Priest that Dog has. It seems a little weak, but maybe with some well-timed Magma Ragers, he can make it happen.
Well, if there's a matchup you want it in, or if there's a matchup you want to be Priest, it might be Shaman.
What's that?
Well, just like Death lines up really well with some of their stuff. They don't flood the board, really. They just kind of... And if they do, it's just totems. Not a huge deal. They can't play Flame Tongue Totem or anything, so... no. You can play Bloodlust, but I don't think we'll see that. I think we're going to see... It looks like it's not as much of a mech shaman as some of the other players. It's more of just mid-range.
Control.
And in that matchup, typically the Priest is favored, but I think it's because the Priest has the board clears, which they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
In Arena, if you're playing Priest, the worst matchup is Paladin, because you can't keep up with the 1/1s, exactly for that reason that you can't really reliably get board clears, and Shaman is the second worst because of that reason as well. But you mentioned it. Yeah, you're right. It's just not as threatening. The totems are not as threatening as they are in every other game mode because they have cards like Flame Tongue Totem and other buffs.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I still favor Kibler, but I would say you're not feeling terrible about Priest versus Shaman as compared to last matchup. I think the Paladin was heavily favored.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, it's not as bad. Mana Tide is pretty good though.
Yeah, I think we'll see a Hex though.
You think? I think there's a lot better stuff for Hex later on. I think you get to Fire Elliot next turn. I mean, it really, I guess, depends on how much you want to control the board. And I think drawing cards is pretty good.
Okay, well, he does agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh, the Fire Guard Destroyer!
There it is.
We made it! You think
in
he
the
has
deck.
an Earth Elemental as well? You think Kibler's
I would
aces?
hope. I would hope. But there's still definitely a chance he doesn't. Wow. That does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it does.
You just
Are you
let
actually
that
going to
rip?
get a... Yeah, actually, you're going to get a better one against the Priest?
He's thumbing over it. He's like, huh. So the one thing it does is it protects your Fire Elemental. Or it protects your Mana Tide, rather. Over Fire Elemental.
You don't need a Fire Elemental because you have the Fire Guard Destroyer next turn, and you'll still have some board.
Yeah, basically it protects your Mana Tide, whereas Fire Elemental doesn't. And so, in that regard, I think it's a lot better because it's just generating you card advantage.
And another Fire Elemental.
Yep, I mean, his hand's just growing, and it's getting pretty stacked on good cards, so... It's not like you're ever going to fall behind on board.
Well, here comes the Emperor again, and that is a really threatening thing. Can you deal with it? Now you can with a Lightning Bolt. You can actually Lightning Bolt and Fire Guard Destroyer overload for 2, which still enables you to Fire Elemental on turn 8.
Yeah, I think that was the perfect top deck, but I was actually just going to go with the Hex.
Okay.
Dog's even just upset about that. He was thinking maybe just run away with the game on an Emperor.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of feeling the pressure from that Mana Tide. That Mana Tide was absolutely an insane investment.
Yeah. It has gotten its weight in gold and more, so... Yeah, I mean, going back to last turn, kind of like the play you mentioned, it's what do you really open up? Not overloading yourself.
Yeah, now you're kind of behind on the board, and you don't really have anything to catch up again.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still fine. But also, the Hex even, lines up. We can see there's a Sylvanas in Dog's hand, but lines up much better with some of the other cards compared to just using it on what he did.
Mm.
And now he has to make, kind of an inefficient play. So... Maybe you would have liked the Fire Guard Destroyer last turn, but Mana Tide is drawing 4 now.
Yeah, and that's just insane.
Yeah.
It's 3 mana, draw 4 cards, and develop a body, so it's gain some life.
Yeah, Shaman's main weakness is their cards at some point they don't 1-for-1 very well, or they don't. Yeah, they can't even 1-for-1 sometimes, and so you need to draw cards somehow to stay ahead on cards, and that's worked out pretty well for him.
Oh, here comes the Magma Rager. That's worked pretty well for Dog so far.
2 mana. There it is. There's Earth Elemental.
Does he have the hat trick? Does he have the Unbound Elemental as well?
I would really hope so with all the overload. Like Feral Spirit, Fireguard Destroyer. Oh, it'd be such a good 3-drop.
Yeah, I would. Well, okay. Can you deal with all of this? I feel like there's some way. Elekir does not
No.
quite do it.
You can't. You can only clear out 2. Which is fine. Like, you don't
What do you
really want to...
Just Fire Elemental Totem?
Yeah, probably. Like, you save your Fire Elemental at 1 health. Because what can Priest do to punish that? No Holy Nova.
Yep.
No Shadow Madness. No Light Bomb. So, I mean, I think you just, like, preserve your minions as much as possible. You're way ahead on cards. You're fine on life. Your opponent's a Priest. Like,
It looks like he wants to go all in on the Earth Elemental, probably. Oh! Okay.
is this weak to anything?
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to think of things this is bad against. I think he's fine. And
Yeah, actually drew the Death, which may have been kind of bad in some cases. Oh, nice, the Velen's Death.
yeah.
Wow. And that Mana Tide Totem is going down. It might be a bit too late, especially because Kibler might not be running weapons in this Shaman deck.
Yeah. It's looking bad. That's especially you've seen a death, like take your pick. What do you like here? Just play anything you want.
He only wants to protect his Emperor, at least for next turn. That seems to be a pretty nice way to handle that turn. Next up, we have another Magma Rager.
Oh, God. Magma Ragered out of the tournament. That's
Yeah.
what it seems like it's going to be for Dog.
Well, it's happened to quite a few players now.
Well, to be fair, I think the Shaman probably would have still taken this. But
Okay, so he's thinking about the Lightning Storm. I like the Lightning Storm here.
yeah, you can... I mean, you basically are just thinking, okay, just avoid the worst case scenario. Like, just don't screw up the sequencing. Don't let your opponent take a fresh 5/5 Emperor.
I kind of like the Lightning Storm and then Juggler Totem. Just to really like get that Sylvanas off the board.
I kind of just like this. I mean, you get the second Emperor. Oh, man. Things are looking good for Kibler.
Yes, they are. Dog has some more sustain in this game with some heals and stuff, but that doesn't really seem to matter at all.
Have you ever, in one turn, have you ever played out Knife Juggler, Haunted Creeper, Double Fireguard, Destroyer, Earth Elemental, Lightning Storm?
Nope. I have not.
I'd like to see that, you know.
That'll leave him with a 6 Overload for the following turn. And with that, he can actually leave with 8 Overload the following turn.
Oh man, I just want to see how low he can get these cards to cost.
Alright. Well, Sylvanas is just kind of becoming more and more of a threat now, and Kibler doesn't have any way to deal with it without some RNG involved here.
And Kibler's just agonizing over how he's going to win.
Alright. Kibler chose to make that trade to make the heal bot kill itself when it hits into a taunt, and to clear up some room on the board for the taunts to be dropped.
If he wasn't overloaded, he could play this entire hand.
Alright.
I think the new constraint might be the Nozdormu timer rather than mana.
Oh, Earthshock. There it is. That has to be it. I think Dog's only chance in this game was to steal a very powerful minion with Sylvanas, and that has that is no longer possible.
So you got to play non-Stormroot, right? You got to end in style.
Yep.
Yeah, Kibler.
Yeah, there's no card that comes to mind here. There's no legal Deathwing.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
there
it
it
is!
is! There it
Unbound.
is!
Wow. Kibler might have the perfect Shaman deck. And it looks like your pick for the tournament may indeed be the player with the best decks. It certainly seems so from what we've seen. The Priest maybe not quite performing as well as some of the other decks that we've seen, but certainly way better than we had anticipated. With the dragon theme, just getting that board presence early on seems to work better. It certainly seemed to work better for Kibler than it did for Dog, who is playing more of a generic control priest.
Yep. So I definitely really liked his Shaman deck. Seemed like I don't know if he spent a lot of time or if he just kind of hit the nail on the head with a lot of his picks, but worked out really well, and he'll be advancing into the second semifinal to see if he can go up against Forsen in the finals.
Yep. We'll have that match for you guys tomorrow. We also will get Kibler for a short interview before we head off for the day. And before we take a quick break for that, just want to mention that if you guys want to check out geico.onog.gg, if you guys want to see the raffle and some of the cool stuff that's happening. Yeah, we'll be back in just a few minutes, guys.
So he can't hear us?
Nope.
I just heard you. No,
Oh,
suddenly.
you heard me?
All right.
Okay. All right.
Well, we're live. Welcome back, guys. We got Kibler here, the winner of that last match. Some pretty interesting stuff. We just figured out how to be able to communicate. So fortunately, that will let us have maybe an acceptable interview. So what do you think of the format, Kibler? It's a pretty interesting one. And it seems like you really got a good grasp of it.
I mean, it was really hard for me. Like, I used every single moment of the deck building period, like trying to figure out, what cards were even legal, and like eventually find like, sort of pockets of different cards that work together. That's kind of how I ended up with the 2 dragon decks. Is that I was like, oh, okay, I can play Corruptor and Technician and a bunch of the good dragons. So that's sort of the shell I built both those decks from.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seemed pretty good. We've seen a lot of players play Shaman, which we thought was like the dominant class, but you were the first player to actually nail down all the cards that seem really broken.
Well, yeah, I mean, Manatide completely carried that last game. Manatide was absolutely bonkers there against the Priest.
Yeah.
And I mean, I definitely think that all of my decks could be improved. Like the one card that I actually had briefly in one of them that somehow ended up in none of them was Defender Vargas. And it's like I just got crushed by the Hunter deck because I didn't have really taunts, like in any of my decks because I was like, oh, I need these spots for the Dragon package and everything. But ultimately, I ended up working out. So.
Yeah, it was really interesting that you chose like a more constructive, a more control approach, and it actually worked out for you. It definitely shows that you are very good in this field of coming up with on-the-spot decks. As most of the players so far to produce wins in the tournament have been playing like exclusively very aggressive decks, and you kind of make it work with the slow ones. And Priest, we were kind of doubting that class. What was the thought process behind bringing that? I know it was very tight on time and stuff, but there was probably some reason to pick it over the others.
I mean, Priest was actually the last deck that I built, but I think Priest was actually maybe my best deck. For one, I think that because there's no sort of board sweeps, there's none of the quality, consecration, those sort of things. You can basically just play to the board really well, and getting ahead in the board is frequently just going to snowball into a victory.
Right.
And Priest just plays to the board super well with the hero power. With I mean, the game that I played where I just had like Twilight Whelp into Zombie Chow into gigantic 3-drop into gigantic 4-drop, and it's just really hard to come back from that.
Yeah, the comebacks were pretty exciting. You and Dog actually produced the first comeback of the tournament, and the second comeback of the tournament,
In the same game.
and the third and the fourth comeback of the tournament, all in that Paladin mirror. Yeah, it had to do a lot with your play style, and Chalky mentioned that it was a very interesting aspect where you only have such an amount of time to actually build the decks, but you have a longer amount of time to think about how you're going to play them. Do you spend like a generous amount of time after you've done building the deck to really see how you can best make use of the cards? What is that process like?
I mean, I went and sort of tried to think about what other people would be playing, and one of the classes that I thought that would see a lot of play was Warlock, which interestingly neither Dog or I played, just because cards like Flame Imp and Doomguard are illegal, and they're obviously among the more powerful Warlock cards. And I was just like, well, okay, the way that I'm going to have to beat these, because I didn't put any taunts in my deck for whatever reason, is actually just playing aggressively for the most part. And that's part of the reason that I really liked like I said, the build for the Priest deck, and also just the Dragon Paladin deck as well. Mulliganing for specifically the Blackwing Technicians, because it's difficult for a lot of decks without spells to come back from just being behind a significant body like that early on.
Right, right.
So how did you feel when you coined a Blackwing Technician? It's like, well, nothing really challenges this well.
That was
Magma Rager.
And then I had to trade into a Magma Rager for fear of Valence Chosen. I was just like, is this really happening to me? I have like, one of the best 3-drops of the game, and I have to trade it into a Magma Rager.
Oh, it
was entertaining, to say the least.
Yep. You should have played the dude on turn 2.
Apparently, I would have been all prepared for the Magma Rager.
It was a complete hindsight misplay. Yeah.
It was funny. I literally was thinking about that. I was like, I could have saved my coin,
Yeah.
Traded just as well.
What could have been? All right. Well, great stuff. Congratulations again. You'll be facing off against the winner between Life Coach and Firebat tomorrow. Have you just closing? Have you gotten a chance to see some of the other players play? What's the field like? You feeling good about the tournament right now?
Yeah. I mean, I watched some of the other matches. I know that Forsen is along to the finals, and his decks look pretty strong. Like like I said, the Warlock deck that I sort of anticipated a lot of people playing was looked like his strongest deck from what I could tell. But I do think that like my decks probably line up pretty well against that, just because of the number of oversized minions I have at various costs. With the Priest deck in particular, I think lines up great. Like Dark Cultist and Blackwing Tech are just so good against those sort of decks.
Right.
And then all the 1-drops plus Valence Chosen. So
good stuff. Well, thanks for coming on, Kibler. Congratulations again. We'll have the rest of the tournament on for you guys tomorrow. So if you guys enjoyed the broadcast, if you guys enjoyed the theme, the players, if you guys enjoyed anything, check it out then. Big thanks for Chalky for hosting it with me. Yeah, GEICO sponsoring. If you guys want to check out some of the deals, some of the info, where can they go to check that out, Chalky?
You can go to geico.onog.gg to enter the raffle for the TSM PC, and also One Nation Gamers is running a complete summer circuit of open events. You can go to Liquid Hearth to check that out and sign up for them. Pretty much every week. The next feature tournament is actually just next weekend, so be sure to check that out as well.
All right, great stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Check in tomorrow.